This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, but boasting a beautiful night lit Toronto background. I just got back from Toronto a week ago. Well, I was at Frightmare in the Falls last weekend and kind of wish I was still in Toronto because I love it there. But nonetheless, I have a guest on the show for the fourth time, and he's right now in church. Okay, folks, he's got a big light above him, so it looks like he in church with a closet and a TV behind him. Folks, he's the host of Splat From the Past, and we often share guest ideas back and forth. He does a lot more of these than I do, and that's fine. I think that's great. Folks, I give you the host of Splat From the Past, Tommy Throwback Kovac. How do you do, Tommy?
Greg, I am fantastic. I'm great to be back on camera because last time I had just gotten this laptop and I didn't know that there was an on-off switch on my laptop here, and I was so embarrassed. So it's great to be back on. And where the fuck is Giraffe?
Giraffe's not working. I don't live with Giraffe. I don't live with Giraffe.
That's not an
I,
excuse, Greg. I want my giraffe.
you want your giraffe? Fuck, I like bugging the shit right out of her, you know. Of course, for
No, I
anybody
do.
listening, Giraffe is my very tall coworker. Well, my tall coworker at my main building, you know. So she wasn't there last night when I was doing the UPS, so anyway, yeah. Um, yeah, Giraffe is probably home and anticipating I don't know, maybe coming in and ordering a mess of food. Who knows?
Or getting the old Evan root breaking for me.
Jeepers, she complains about you all the time. She thinks you're actually into her, and I'm like seriously, like I don't know. It's like,
That's that generation. That's that generation.
well, I don't know about that, Jennifer. She's only 5 years younger than I am, so
Really?
yeah.
I figured she was at least 20 years younger than you. She acts like a millennial, like all the
You
way
know
through.
what? You got a point. You do have a point. You definitely have a point. I look more my age than she does,
Yeah.
so anyway, yeah, but she does a great job cleaning, and we have her own separate tasks we do, and so she does a great job, and so there you go. That's all you can ask for. So, and as much as we get on each other's nerves, at least we can rely on each other at the end of the days, and that's important. So I got one building I go into right now that they put me in, that my other one put me in, that I have to contact people to let me up on the second floor, and I have to be in the building before a certain time, and I'm like, I hate that. I like being able to just, like with UPS last night, use a key, get in the door, punch in the alarm code or to turn it, deactivate it and whatnot, and just go about my work. I hate having to deal with other people to get in someplace. So anyway, it is what it is, and I keep my bills paid. And speaking of bills, I got a massive one after Frightmare in the Falls and Fan Expo, and I say I got a good 9 or 10 months before that scene happens again. So I should be able to knock that down. I have a strategy in which to do it. So anyway, yeah.
You know the
So you
feeling.
you being in church and all, have you made your confessions yet?
No, I don't really have any confessions right now and stuff. I was actually hoping to save those for Giraffe, but she's not here right now.
Yeah, you're gonna confess to Giraffe. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, no, I had fun in Toronto. Did a con this year, didn't you not?
Oh, I did the ultimate con. It was the Hollywood show,
That's
which
right, you
runs
did.
3 or 4 times a year in Burbank throughout the year. It's been going on since the late 70s. And this was my first time ever going. I had always wanted to go to one because I've been using the Hollywood show as like an excuse to reach out to certain people when I know they're going to be booked there to have them come on my show and promote their appearance and talk about their classic film or television. So this was a last minute thing the month before. Me and my best friend decided we were going to go for our birthdays. His birthday is May 29th. I'm June 6th. And it was the weekend of my birthday. And so we did a last minute thing. We got the tickets and everything. And he was actually pretty happy about going though, because he always goes to the horror cons with me. And he's not a horror fan on the level that I am and stuff. And he likes to have a match of people and stuff. And I was like, well, this is going to be the ultimate one. You're going to see everybody at this show. So we go down there. We left at like 3 in the morning on Wednesday, going into Thursday morning, and I got very little sleep. There was a fire going on in LA, like there always is. There was smoke in the sky. It was pretty scary. I was like, "Oh God, are we gonna make it?" So we get there. We go to a pastry shop for a couple hours, and then we go to have lunch with Terry Bolo over at the legendary Cantor's restaurant, which I had always wanted to go to. It's been around since 1931. That's where all the Comedy Store comedians go at 2 a.m. to eat after the comedy club closes. Sam Kinison used to go there a lot back in the 80s. And so we had lunch with Terry, which was wonderful. She looked so cute, I will tell you. I mean, just adorable. I was surprised nobody was trying to take advantage of her. She was so cute. And so we went to a bunch of other events while we were in town for just those 2.5, 3 days. And so I go to the Hollywood show. And first I'm like, okay, I gotta go meet Carney Wilson because she's been on my show. I'm connected with her husband, Rob Bonfilio, on Facebook, and so, he connected me with her. I got to go meet her. And I did, and it was wonderful, but the experience was kind of killed by her bitch autograph manager, who shall remain nameless. I've had a couple incidences with her before. I actually liked her 5 years ago, and then she changed on me after the whole thing where she was trying to get me an interview with Tony Basil, who was rude to me, you know. And so it was awkward, but it was great seeing Carney, and she is just such a wonderful person, wonderful person. I go to meet her sister Wendy next, right? And she likes my Bengals t-shirt that I'm wearing. And she said to me the same thing Carney said like a moment ago. She says, we're doing Bengals songs in our set list now and stuff. And I was like, oh, that is so cool. And I mentioned to her casually that Carney had been on my podcast. And next thing you know, her energy shifted as if I was going to be the 100th guy to ask her to be on mine, which I wasn't. I had no plans on asking her to be on mine. And her energy shifted for a moment. It was pretty funny. I wish I had a video of it. And then I go to meet China, and China's a hardcore Christian now, and she's got like a YouTube channel where she talks about prayers and miracles and all that stuff. And she's exactly who she is in Caddyshack 2, China Phillips, kind of, full of herself and everything and stuff, but she was decent. I mean, she's not shaking hands because of COVID. Instead, she gave me a little elbow bump and stuff. And then, I went to go meet Billy Gray, and I emailed him the week before. I didn't hear back from him. I was like, oh, I hope he's okay. So I go over to his table, and I said to his handler, hey, he was on my podcast, right? And then, I don't think it fully registered with him. I think it took him a few moments. And then he was like, oh, yeah, that's right. And he signed my Day the Earth Stood Still VHS, and we got a picture and everything. I don't think he knew me from Adam, but it was great meeting him still, after having him on years ago. I met little Ricky from I Love Lucy. That's a funny little story. I go over to his table. He's talking to somebody, and his 6-year-old grandson, who looks exactly like him when he was that age, is his little helper. And he says, "Hi, can I help you?" And I was like, "Oh, hi, I want to get a autograph and a selfie from Mr. Thibodeau over here." And he's like, "I'm his grandson. $60, please." And I give him the $60. And then when it's my turn, um, I'm about to say, hi, Keith. And before I could do that, some asswipe got in the middle and interrupted. He was like, he's like, "Hey, Keith, remember me? I met you last week at the Paramount party." This guy, he was like a sleazy 60-something-year-old guy wearing a nice like dinner jacket and stuff. I'm thinking, oh my God, can't the guy wait? Because I'm about to meet him here and stuff, right? And so Keith says to me, "I am so sorry for this. Can you give me a moment?" And I said, "Absolutely." The guy looks a little important. I was being snarky. So he went to go deal with the guy, and then he comes back to me and he's like, "Hey, I am so sorry about that." And I'm like, "It's okay. It's okay. I'm sure everybody wants to talk to you. And he signed my picture and he was saying, he's like, "This has been the greatest thing of my life. I Love Lucy. It's just I was so lucky to be a part of that show. I always wondered why their son didn't play Little Ricky on the show because he was age appropriate. And I had Lucy Arnaz on the podcast this summer. I'm sure she gets asked that all the time, so I didn't even ask her, why they weren't, on the show and stuff. But that was a lovely experience meeting him. Let's see, I met Christine DeBelle, and she gave me a free autograph for my birthday. I was telling everybody it was my birthday so I could get shit for free, and only like a handful of people gave me free shit. I spent a lot of money that weekend, and Christine was great. She even gave me a little kiss on the cheek afterwards. Um, Cindy Pickett, Mrs. Bueller, she gave me actually a kiss on the lips, and I'm thinking about having her back on the podcast at some point when she's not too busy. She was awesome. I met Michelle Johnson from Blame It on Rio. She played Joseph Bologna's daughter, who has an affair with Michael Caine, his best friend. You know, and Scotty Schwartz, from A Christmas Story, he was her handler because he books people for cons sometimes and stuff. He actually got Diane Franklin into the autograph shows and the cons and stuff. And I think he handled her at one point. And Scotty, I don't think it completely registered with him who I was because I talked to him in 2018 and we talked for almost 2 hours. We had a really good talk. And he had to stop the interview for about 20 minutes because his mom showed up to say Merry Christmas to him because it was Christmas time and stuff. So I don't know, I was kind of bummed out at his reaction. He just didn't show a lot of enthusiasm, but he took the picture of us and it turned out good. And I had Michelle Johnson write on the autograph my favorite line that she has in Blame It on Rio. She wrote, "It's going to take at least a year to get the sand out of my belly button." And she was great. And then I meet the one, the only Barbara Luna. She was the first woman to get away with showing her belly button on television on Star Trek in 1967. And she actually let me touch it during the selfie and stuff. She like put my hands around her waist. Yeah, the smile on my face and smile on her face says it all in that picture. It was just extraordinary. And she gave me the autograph for free too. I met Babs from Animal House, Martha Smith, and she had a long line that was way, way out the door, and it was all guys. There was not a single woman in that line.
Oh,
It's
wow.
yeah, yeah, and she had her Playboy spread and everything on the table. If I had a little bit more money, I would have gotten that. Instead, I just got the shot of her in Animal House when she's like covering herself up, during the
Oh,
parade.
nice shot. Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah.
And I told her I was 4 when my dad and I started watching that movie when my mom wasn't home. And she's like, "Wow, I've heard lots of young ages, but never 4." And then let's see, I went to go see Marlene. She was there, Marlene Fields. And her friend who was helping her, she's been on my show, Joycelyn Liu, who you should have
Hmm.
on in the future. She was a little girl in The King and I in 1956, and then she got out of the industry for like 20 years, and then came back and did the exploitation TNA movies. And she was in The Big Brawl with Christine DeBelle and Jackie Chan and
Hmm.
stuff. She's great. Oh, Joycelyn Liu is great, and she's a lot of fun. And yeah, so like after I met Cindy, I met Jonathan Schmock, who played the snooty Major D in Ferris Bueller. I met Lyman Ward, who played the dad, and I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, it was Jonathan Schmock who told me Alan Rook, who played Cameron, was supposed to be there that weekend, and he canceled at the last minute, which I was not aware of. Right, and I'm thinking, oh God, he was on that popular show on HBO. Of course, he's not going to be there with you guys. I mean, he's like practically A-list now, you know, and stuff. So yeah, it was a fabulous weekend. There's a lot of people I didn't have time to meet, unfortunately, for various reasons. There's people I avoided that were rude to me, like years ago, like Tony Basil and Michael DeBar and stuff like that. But then there's people I wanted to meet but didn't get to, like Terry Bozzio from Missing Persons was there. She was charging a lot of money actually for an autograph, so I avoided that. The biggest autograph I got was Barbara Steele. She signed my Piranha poster, which was $113, and I put that on my credit card, which I'm still paying off after this trip all those months ago. So
Still
yeah,
cheaper than Richard Dreyfuss would have been here in Canada.
really, what was Richard Dreyfuss charging?
140.
Oh fuck.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I heard Arnold charges like 400 or 50, and like Mark Hamill does like 200. Maybe it's even more than that now. This was like years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to be a big, big, huge fan of somebody to pay that much for an autograph. I don't know. It depends on nostalgia. I was back and forth in my mind about getting the photo op at Frightmare in the Falls for the Jaws reunion. And that was $400, but there would have been six of them in the picture. And I went for it, but it's funny. Um, I kind of snapped awake at like 1 in the morning when I was in my Tempe hotel and Niagara Falls and looked at my phone and there was a message saying that Richard Dreyfuss was not on his flight from Buffalo, which didn't set well with a lot of people because this is the second year he missed. And I guess Carla Hogendick didn't was a no-show either. And but the Jeffrey Kramer and Jeffrey Voorhees and the two twins, they did make it. And but my photo op with Dreyfus got refunded, and my and the Jaws reunion got um, refunded. Now, Richard Dreyfus no showing. I was debating about the Jaws reunion, but then I got to thinking, why should I punish the other actors because he no shows? But it
Mm.
ended up getting refunded anyway, so I got the email and that bumped Jake the Snake's photo up, which I'm glad I got notified about because it was supposed to be at 5:45. It got bumped up to 3:10, just ahead of Judy's. So I was like, I'm glad I got notified, but but anyway, you had mentioned Billy Gray. I met him at Chiller. Did he have the wind up robot from the day the earth stood still on his table? Because he wound that up in a video I did with him at Chiller.
I don't think so. I can't remember. I just remember he had posters and merch at his table, but I don't think he had a little robot.
Yeah. Um, Now you China Phillips from Caddyshack 2. I don't rec been so long since I've seen Caddyshack too. But
Mm.
who did she play in that?
She played Robert Stack and Dinah Merrill's daughter, Miffy,
Oh, oh, okay.
the superficial, spoiled little
The
snotty
one
bitch.
the one that ran into the tree and rolled down the hill.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay,
That's why I said
okay,
she's exactly like that in real life too.
okay, okay. All right. Um, yeah. Um, it's unfortunately you had a bad experience with Tony Basil because she would have been top of my pick to go meet if I was at the Hollywood show. Um,
I'm good off that.
I love Tony. Um, so I would have definitely gone to meet her. Um, but yeah, the Frightmare in the Falls, I was actually surprised because the last time I did this many guests, it was just a detriment, to me financially. But this one here, I didn't have to take any money out of my checkings account. I got 22 autographs, which is usually a bad move on my part, but I ended up it all came out of my savings, and now I gotta let my savings rebuild again. But I mean, that's pretty much what I use my savings account for anyways for these trips. So so I'm thinking about in 2026 doing Fan Expo again and Frightmare in the Falls again, There's rumors that Horrorama will happen, but Horrorama's special to me because it was my first. But I kind of noticed with the smaller cons, you meet people way too quickly. Whereas with the bigger cons, you can stretch them out really well for the weekend, So I kind of like it that way. So I like it that way anyway. But anyway, no, I'm glad you get to enjoy it and you met a lot of guests. How many did you meet in total?
A number at some point. I'm guessing maybe up to 20 people or something like that.
No, I mean in terms of autographs, because you were running off people that you had met.
Yeah. Well, there was those, and then there was a bunch more. Like I met Richard Thomas and Judy Norton from the Waltons. Um, oh God, who else? I mentioned I met Capeless, John Capeless. Yeah. I remember telling you in private that I had met him, and I had him sign the autograph. Tommy, can I borrow $50? Because that's how much it cost, to buy it.
I like John Coppolis. I met him at Chiller, had him on a couple of times, and he's great. So he
Mhm.
was a wonderful meet.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy. And also, I
Yeah.
should announce I re-rotated the laptop and put it here, facing, my window. You can see my Homer Simpson autograph on the wall there.
Oh, you met Homer Simpson?
No, in 2003, I sent Dan Castellaneta a fan letter, and he replied my questions back, and he sent me that free autograph. And I put the letter with the questions inside the frame with it.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Now, who do you have to your other side?
Who do I have on my other side? Oh, here's my
No,
Kelly
no, up on
Maroney.
the
Yeah.
wall, up on the
Yeah.
wall.
Oh yeah, it's my Eddie Money autograph.
Oh, okay.
I met him after a concert he did at our local fair in 2010.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I saw that up there. I was like, you got them matching on each side there. Yeah. No, I have fun doing I know next year for Fan Expo I'm going to do things a little different with that one because I definitely had some hiccups with that one. But I'm going to do a few things different with that one. But Frightmare in the Falls went swimmingly well, and so went better than I could have expected under the circumstances. So Yeah.
just they're getting too expensive in general, man. I don't have a desire like I used to get to go to several a year because I just end up broke, by the time I leave each one. I'm a lot more selective now,
Well, we don't get any here in New Brunswick, so I have to go to Toronto for it, but I love going to Toronto anyway. So right now I've done four Horror-ramas, five Frightmare in the Falls, and one Toronto Comic Con, one Chiller, and one Fan Expo. And the Chiller one was the one I did in the States. Um, I wouldn't mind doing Chiller again, but until things get um, less hectic in terms of things, relations between the States and Canada, and people can go on about Trump or whatever while they want to. I am going to point some blame at our government here too. So, yeah, like it's like when you make promises to come to a trade deal and you don't deliver, you're not fucking delivering. And I don't point that finger at Trump. I point that at somebody else. But I won't get into politics here. But I try to I try to go to a couple a year. But Chiller looked great. They had Huey Lewis there was lots of pictures. So
I
he
need
was a
that guy so
smash.
bad. I love
Huh?
Huey. I'm from the Bay Area. I love Huey Lewis in the News and all the rockers from the Bay Area. I grew up on MTV and all that shit. I would love to
Yeah.
meet Huey.
Yeah. So um anyway, I guess he was popular there, but but yeah. But outside, I've had somebody ask me who my most expensive autograph was, and I was like, I don't know. It would have been Richard Dreyfuss at for this event had he showed, but I don't know who the most expensive. You know, my most inexpensive was James Balsamo. He signed for me for free, but I find it funny. Sean Whalen and Darren Ewing were both there at his table with him, and they weren't even on the web page for it. And I'm like, I don't get that, you know, but because you would think they would have them listed, but that's okay. I went. I had some fun with that. I could have hard time. I could not find James that first day, and I texted him towards the end of Saturday. It's like, where are you? He told me he's out by the ticket booth at a table. I was like, oh, okay. So you're not even in the autograph and vendor room. So, cause did that the following day, but yeah, yeah, I had a good time with it. Where'd you stay? When did you stay the night when you went down there?
Yeah, we went to which was I think it was the Ramada Inn that we stayed
Oh
at
yeah.
because the Marriott was completely sold out. So we went to the Ramada Inn that was maybe 5 minutes away, and it was a nice hotel. They gave us a suite, and it was super cheap. And there was a soda machine and a vending machine close by, and it was the life. It even had like a refrigerator and a microwave there. We didn't use it, but it was just nice that we had that. And there's a comic book. There's a Comic Con booker that I had on the show back in January. She was helping her clients there in LA. It was her first trip ever to LA. And we hung out with her at nighttime, and we spent hours walking along the Hollywood Walk of Fame, taking pictures of the stars on the ground, which I've done several times in my life. And it wasn't the first time I've done it. And we got lost, and but we were exhausted by the time that we were done and stuff. And that was fun. And oh, I forgot to mention, on the second day, we were only there for a short time. And so then we went and we had brunch with the wonderful Andrea Lido, and that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Yeah, I should reach out and have Andrea Lito come on again because Dress to Kill is celebrating its 45th anniversary. So I may just do that. But nonetheless, yeah, I I, I was in Niagara Falls. I stayed at a horrible fucking hotel.
Oh yeah, tell me about that.
Well, I did a video on it, and apparently I wasn't the only one from the con that was there that didn't like it. I stayed at the Rainbow Motor Inn, and I forget how much I paid, but whatever it wasn't terribly expensive, but it was still too much for what I got because the bathtub, one tap didn't work, the other tap was cold water only, and I was like, I can't do cold showers, I can't do it, you know? And I was like, shit. And the one that did work was pulling out of the tub. And then the faucet had this long tube, and that was like jerky around, you know. And I was like, okay, this is weird. This is weird. And there was a dresser in there that was missing a drawer, which frankly, I don't care. I don't use a dresser or anything anyway. And there was two lamps, one didn't work. So I
Like
was
you were in a
like,
hotel in Oakland. I have a teacher. Um, the first time he ever came to the Bay Area, it was in Oakland, California, at
mhm.
this really ghetto hotel, and there was a hole in the wall. And so he told the guy at the front desk to fix it. He just took a pile of Kleenex and then scotch taped it. I'm like, oh yeah, that'll keep people out, you know, from coming in and stabbing him with a knife.
Yeah. I could hear people yakking and yakking outside. Like it's almost like I was in the conversation. It just sounded that close. And so, but it was right next door to Tim Horton. So at least now I have a place where I could sleep. But I think next year I'll stay where I was supposed to, where I stayed the previous year, you know? So yeah. Um, Normally, Lisa and I rent a car and go down there, but Lisa had some shoots in Ottawa, so I busted. So that was a first for me doing that. But I got to meet Cindy Hines down there, which was really cool. And she wasn't even on the guest list. She was just gonna be meeting friends and whatnot, and goes down there and does her thing. And we met at the Mamma Mia for some Italian, and then we met Tim Hortons the Sunday morning there, and that was fun, you know. So I really enjoyed meeting Cindy Hines, and the after party was great. Uh, but by Ling again, my second time meeting her, and she was a firecracker, and so yeah, I had a few of them there that made an impression on me. Sean Cunningham is really short. You had to stand on a box to the picture with me.
Explains a
Brooke,
lot about him.
I didn't say anything to him about the killing of the snake. I guess to me, I'm kind of conscious of people around me when I do that. Like I didn't I was going to confront him about that, and I was like, you know what, there's other people there to meet these people. Why? Because if I say something and they decide to say fuck it and walk off, then anybody there that wants to meet this person, I'm costing them their experience. So it's like, fuck it, I'm not going to do that. So but one of the weird things that happened was security was down there accompanying a fan, and I didn't know they could do this, but the fan wanted Sean to sign a machete, not a fake one, a real one. So he was allowed to do it, but security had to carry the machete down there. And then the fan, he had to escort the fan so the fan took it out to his car. The fan was allowed back in. So it's not like he was a nutcase, but it's like, why do you need a real machete signed, you know? But at least security, was down there with him for that. But yeah. And Brooke Thies, I've never had on the show, but she was very chatty, very friendly. Um, she was a ball of fun when I met her. Yeah. Have you
I
ever
love
had Brooke
Brooke.
on your show?
I've had her on twice, and I love Brooke, and I met her um, in 2017, and me and my mom told her about how her co-star from Just the Ten of Us, Dennis Haysbert, my mom grew up with him from like kindergarten till like senior year in high school, and she was just so fun and friendly, and love hearing my mom's anecdotes about growing up with him and stuff. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I wish I could like." Run into him at Starbucks or something and just give him a great big hug and tell him how much I loved working with him on Just the Ten of Us. And then when I had her on the podcast twice, she was just a lot of fun. And I just adore Brooke. She's a total tomboy, and she grew up with dyslexia, and she learned like early on from her parents, to just treat everybody so respectfully, even if they're different. And so she's a very good person that way.
Yeah, I enjoyed meeting her, and she did say she'd come on the show, so um, I couldn't resist on that. She was just too friendly. Chances are, if they're really friendly, they're easy to approach on that. So yeah, she was super friendly. So yeah, I had a good time there. I did 4 photo ops, which I've only started doing those at Frightmare in the Falls last year, and some of them are pretty creative. But and although it was, a downer that Dreyfus didn't show, I kind of look at it this way. He would have been the most expensive guest, and I kind of saved on that cash. So, you know, I make a list whenever, like a decent size list whenever I go, and like a tier list, and it helps me navigate who's top priority for me, and anybody not on that list, chances are I'm not going to meet. So there you go.
Some people I wanted to meet at the Hollywood show that I'm still a little bummed out I didn't get to meet, like David Harper, who was one of the Walton boys and stuff. He's the teenage kid. Chevy Chase hijacks his car in Fletch when he's running from those bogus cops. And he's like, "Hi, I'm a cop. They're cops. You want to be a part of our demonstration?" And he gets it and drives him. He's like, "What?" You know, I wish I could have met him. I wish I could have met him and just tell him how much I love that. But there's always a next time. He's in his like early 60s now. Like there's time. There's people like him. There was God, who else? There was a lot of people there. But I made sure that I met everybody I've interviewed. So I got to meet everybody I interviewed. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. And that was just fantastic.
Yeah, in terms of Frightmare in the Falls, I think the only ones I'd interviewed Dee Wallace a couple times, and she remembered me, and what a trooper. She is a total professional. And
Mhm.
Michael Berryman, I've interviewed. I met him.
Yep, I've
And
had him on, and I've met him a couple times.
yeah, and James Balsamo. Outside that, I don't think there's anybody else there that I had interviewed. But I had a few people said they'd come on the show. So hopefully maybe that'll happen. But between work and sleep, guests have been kind of hit and miss for me in terms of reach out. But But I was happy when I got to Toronto. I met Lisa for a couple of meals. I met Aaron Noble, you know. Uh, I love Erin. My time with her was brief because her health is declining, and so it was very brief. But like, there's no way I'll pay to get her on the show again. It's just
Yeah,
but
my friend Susan Demanti, she tried to get me an interview with Aaron about 4 years ago, and she said that her health was starting to decline at that point. So sadly, yeah, I won't get to talk to her either.
I'll I'll tell you this. I have met Erin twice before in Toronto with Lisa. This time I wasn't with Lisa. Um, Lisa had a bunch of other things going on, so I was lucky I got to spend any time with Lisa at all. But I did let Erin know that I was going to be coming down, and I don't know what she's got going on with her immune system. She told me, but um, the details are kind of escaping me. But I met with her. We went to a coffee shop, and I bought her. I forget what kind of drink she had because she could only have uh, specific things, whatever it was that was afflicting her. And then I had a tea, and we got sitting there. We chatted for about, maybe about 10, 15 minutes, and she says, Greg, I apologize, but I have to go. And like, I heard she sleeps like 16 hours of the day, and because of whatever's afflicting her. She's very nice, and it was nice to see her. Um, I told her I met her boyfriend at Fan Expo, Michael J. Fox. Speaking of somebody else who's dealing with health issues, but um, but it was nice. It was nice to meet her, and I can certainly understand why she's not doing podcasts and stuff. She doesn't even act anymore, you know. So I kind of get it. But it was nice to see her, and I got to meet Creepy Jewel, which was really fun too. And
Run
see who
into
else.
a certain magician while you were there.
Nope,
Good.
nope, nope,
Have you even
nope.
met him in person?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I met him at well, he started doing Horrorama the year I started going. But he was at Horrorama every year I went. And he did Frightmare in the Falls uh one year. And I don't know what happened there. It's none of my business, but I don't know whether he'll be back there or not. But again, I didn't pry on that, but I don't mind helping people, but I don't like being taken advantage of. I do not like that, you know, like with especially when somebody does not aim to get himself a job, and they can say, well, you know, they're a magician, okay, that's all fine and good. I'm a podcaster, but I don't make money at it.
Right.
Like being a maintenance cleaner or whatever is not my dream job, but it pays my bills. It pays so I can go do my thing, you know? And when I get somebody just shits on that and then constantly asks me for money, I'm like, yeah, I had to cut ties there. I wasn't liking that, you know. I had And I know he said to me a few times, "Take my interviews down, or I'll get a lawyer." Like, I like to meet the lawyer that works for Tricks. Please introduce me. It's like, and number two, because I know oh, who's that other podcaster I connected him with that I got Eric Matthias and Granny Hulkster through.
Icon?
Yeah, Icon.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't ask Icon what happened, but I believe there was something there as well. And I was like, yeah, like I don't like taking interviews down. I can hide them. I can do that. But here's the deal. I'm about the only promotion he's getting. So I don't see like the only reason he got Icon because Icon reached out to me. Same with Bronwyn was on, I believe Brom was on, but difference is with Bronwyn's professionals.
Like Bronwyn,
Bronwyn,
you know.
yeah, Bronwyn
Yeah.
is um like she like Bronwyn works and
Mhm.
she does the writing and stuff like that. She's a responsible person. She's not leeching off of people, but she's a very hard worker, and I know she was various parts of this province on book tour, and I even saw her book at the airport, which was cool. But but Bronwyn, at least she appreciates it. If she goes on somebody else's podcast through me or whatnot. I didn't get that from the magician. I'll just call him that. But he made my money disappear for a while, until I was like, I can't do this. If you're not going to get a job, then quit bugging me. It's not my responsibility to pay for his food and all that stuff. I gotta deal with that stuff, and you know, like he wanted to do a tour about Canada and wanted me to go with him, and I'm like, yeah, really? And he was just offering to pay $2,000. And I'm like, you know how much it would cost me to take time off work for that? And I'm like, really? Like seriously? I'm like, and there's no guarantee that I would have that job when I come back. Like, I'm sorry. Fucking think about what you're saying. And he doesn't do that. No respect whatsoever. He doesn't want to work. He doesn't want to work. He wants other people to pay his way. So, like, yeah, constantly calls me at different numbers on marked and stuff like that. And yeah, nah, no. So I had to cut those ties. So no,
It reminds me,
I didn't meet any Pacific magician at the cons, but I have met him a few times. So it was
it
fun while
reminds
it
me,
lasted.
yeah, it reminds me of this guy that I knew during my homeless days. This guy, every time I saw him, he was just not looking for work or trying to better himself. He lived in a single man tent, and that was like his lifelong dream, his lifelong goal to have his own single man tent that he was, taking it to wherever he can get away with squatting, and he just didn't have any ambition to get a job or anything. I mean, he was just the total dick that way.
I wouldn't want to live like that, you know?
No.
Yeah. Like I know Giraffe has a heart for the homeless. I get it. But the same token, when you're a cleaner like me, and the amount of meth needles I find, and especially in washrooms, I'm like, it's hard to it's hard to decipher sometimes who are the people genuinely, and when I say genuinely suffering, people that would take a job if they had the opportunity. Like people that would, if the chance, the opportunity came, would take a job and try to pay their way. Um, and I don't see this with people out there on meth and this and that, you know. Instead, they make the washrooms a big mess. It makes it difficult for me and my coworkers. And I'm like, yeah, I have no time for that. So yeah, but so you just did the one convention this year?
Pretty much. I mean, I took last year off from going to any. I was just so killed by that 2023 experience when I met Elvira,
Yeah.
and I mean, the prices at that con were pretty pricey there, and I was just like, God, I could just see it. It's going to get higher and higher each year. And the egos of a lot of these stars that are doing them now, they're not as humble as they were when I first started going in 2016. You know, I don't know. I enjoyed going to cons more then, and just since the pandemic, it's just not the same. But every once in a while, I'll see a small little con that has maybe like two or three celebrities I want to meet, a little local one, and I'll go down there, and that's a quick, easy day and stuff. Um, the next one's in February. The East Bay Comic Con over in Orinda, California, or Oakland, wherever they have it. They've moved it to both places and in various hotels there and stuff. They have like one or two celebrities, sometimes three, from like an old comic book series or movie or something related to sci-fi or something. And I go to that like in February. It's been a couple of years since I've gone, but I'm anticipating to see who they're going to have next year. This year they had Michael Biehn from Terminator there, and I wouldn't have minded meeting him and stuff. He probably charged $100 for that autograph, but I would have loved to have gone, but I didn't have the means to do so at that time.
He was supposed to be at Frightmare in the Falls one year, and he ended up canceling. So
His wife was there too. His wife, what's her name? She's also an actress. Jennifer Blanc Bean, is that her name? Something like that.
I have
Yeah,
no idea,
yeah. You probably
but
know her if you saw her.
maybe. But yeah, he canceled the one time he was supposed to be. That's always a hard one whenever you make a list of people you want to meet and you're hoping your fingers are crossed that nobody cancels, you know. But we have five cancellations for Frightmare this year, you know. Like Marley Shelton postponed early, um, and uh, Daniel Roebuck ended up postponing, and he was supposed to do a photo op in the Sen out from Terrifier 3. David Arquette canceling pissed off a lot of people, but um, I'm not the biggest David Arquette person, you know. So I feel bad for the people that wanted to meet him, but he wasn't on my list. Um, but I was like, I was thought for sure Dreyfus will be there because most times they don't cancel 2 years in a row. So, well, now there is a difference. Jamie Farr ended up canceling twice for Chiller. He's supposed to do it spring and this one recently. He canceled in the spring because of health reasons, and he tried to do it in the fall, the like last weekend, and apparently had to cancel again. His is due to health. I think he's 91 years old, so he might try it again, maybe not. I don't know, but at least there's an explanation, and you get it. You get it. There's nothing nefarious there. But when somebody no shows or something like that, it's kind of like, wow.
Corinne Swit, she died this summer, and I don't know if she actually ended up going to that chiller. Jeff
Oh yeah,
Maxwell,
she was at Chiller the fall after Lisa and I went. So I never met her, but I think there was two or three, like Michael Madsen passing away and this and that, and Like they had a few that passed away that were just there. Chiller to
Jeff
me
Ma
was, yeah.
oh, go ahead. I
I
was
was
gonna
gonna
say
say Chiller. What
Go
was
ahead.
you gonna say?
I said Jeff Maxwell, who I told you to reach out to because he was in Young Frankenstein. He was definitely there with them. I know that because I had him on in March, and I think I addressed that he was going to be at ChillerCon.
He never responded to me, but he ended up canceling as well. And I don't know whether it was because Jamie Farr did, because they're both there for MASH, but he never responded to me whenever I reached out. But I love Young Frankenstein. I think it's Mel Brooks' greatest movie. But I think Chiller, hands down, might be the greatest convention I've been to. And I'll tell you what makes it so great is it's got something for everybody there, you know? Like this past spring, for example, they had Linda Blair there, but they also had the first actor to don the Barney outfit, you know?
Okay.
And he there was a lot of people that met him, which I think is so cool, you know? Or they would have like the Warriors reunion or Night of the Living Dead reunion there, but they also had a number of people from Home Alone there. And I'm like, I think that is super cool that it's like, it's not just horror films. It's like, look, there's something there for everybody. I love that. Or they get musicians like Huey Lewis, I would have loved to have met Huey Lewis. And or when I went there, they had Lita Ford there. I met Lita Ford or people
Met
like
her.
that. Yeah. I think that is really cool. Um, Fan Expo, I had my gripes with, but I'll try it again next year. Um, I know they had a lot of TV people there. Luckily, a lot of them have bled into the movies, so I was able to make that really work out. But um, here was one issue I had with Fan Expo that I wasn't ready for, and it was when I met Daphne Keene. Um, and it's nothing against her, but you could pay for photo op or you could prepay for autograph and you go up and meet her. So I prepaid for an autograph thinking that you can go up and pay extra and get a selfie. And her handler wouldn't let me do a selfie with her. And I didn't want to screw up her because she had a long, long lineup. But I wanted to tell her handler to fuck off. We're flipping the bill.
Yeah.
But I won't do that again. It's either I get photo ops, they're professional. I get that. That's fine. But unless there's an illness or something like Michael J. Fox, for example, I get the private signing thing. That I understand. But I have a rule. I want a way to go up to your thing and see autograph this much, selfie this much, combo this much. That's what I want to see. Not none of this other bullshit. I won't do that again at Fan Expo. I'll tell you that.
Was going to get one photo op at the Hollywood show, and I chose not to just for money purposes. I
Mhm.
wanted to get all three Wilson Phillips girls with me in one picture, right? But then I just ended up doing the selfies instead, because they were each charging $70 with a free selfie included. I was like, I'd rather do that than just get, $200 or whatever that was that I was going to get for the photo op. So I didn't do any photo ops. And plus, they're a pain in the ass because you have to wait and you're competing with all these other people and stuff. And there's no way you're probably going to get even a conversation or anything with them. So I was just like, yeah,
My experience, you're right and you're wrong. The wait isn't a big thing. They shuffle you in quite quickly. I've had different experiences, Like last year at Frightmare in the Falls, I did a photo op with Tracy Savage, and she kind of set me off on doing a photo op because I was like, I had a big crush on her growing up. So I was like, if I'm gonna do a photo op, I should do one with Tracy Savage. I ended up doing one with Suzanne Snyder too, which I'm happy I did because it was so creative, her photo op. And then I did photo ops at Fan Expo. And Fan Expo, I kind of had more of an agenda for photo ops because I did one with Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. And I that was like, I think it was $300 or something like that. It was pricey. But what goes through my head, and my younger brother tells me, he says, it's your memories, you do you. And it's kind of like, if I'm going to do something with Back to the Future, you kind of want those two leads. And since Michael J. Fox's health is not the best, and Christopher Lloyd very active, he's still very active, like physically,
Right.
Um, yeah, but he's in his 80s, but he gets around. I guess he's keeping himself well. He was a nobody too, so he's still working. But I decided to do that one, and I had my reasons for doing it. Um, we were shuffled in quick, but I think probably one of the things that made that special is I was wearing my Lisa Langlois Patsy shirt from class of 1984. And when we were shuffled in, like she didn't work directly with Christopher Lloyd in Joy of Sex, but she did work directly with Michael J. Fox. And when he was looking over as we were coming through, he saw my shirt, and his Parkinson's way further along than my mom's, but you could see him trying to give a thumbs up because he reacted to the shirt, and I thought that was cool. We were told not to touch the guest, but okay. I had a decent experience getting that done. And I had three others, which were the following day. Ewan McGregor, total professional, total professional. And his was also pricey, but boy, he knows the drill. And he stood, he wasn't sitting in a chair like the other two was. He was standing, and you shuffle through, you come through. He greets you with a smile. He shakes your hand and says, thanks for coming. He does the picture with, puts his arm around, does the picture, and he pats you on the back and thanks you again for coming. And but I liked his attitude. Like you could, even though this was very routine, it wasn't a chore for him to be there.
Right.
And he had a lot of people. Mike Tyson was seated in his chair when I met him, but I think what made his memorable is I leaned in on him when I said I loved you in The Hangover, and you could see a shift in his eyes when I said that. I think he was amused that I said that, and I get a good picture with him.
Cool.
And then I got the Smallville women. Love Laura Vandervoort. Erica Durance, I didn't meet solo. Probably should have. I just didn't have the time and the whatnot. But Kristen Kirk was a bit standoffish, duly
Couldn't
noted.
tell
But it
me.
was yeah. But it was the second time I've met Laura, and Laura's always been wonderful. So those were my photo ops for Fan Expo. So this one here, I had six scheduled. Richard Dreyfuss and the Jaws reunion got refunded, but Dee Wallace is always a professional, and Tom Atkins and Stacey Nelkin, they were great. And
Stacy, I want to meet her in person so bad because she's been on my show 3 times.
I've never had her on. I think she's open to coming on. I got a set photo from Yellowbeard signed. It was the only Yellowbeard photo she had. And I got her to sign, I think I love you on it. And and I did a photo op with Jake the Snake, which was a given. And then I did the raft kill photo op with Judy Aronson, which I'm glad I did that. But at the same token, it's kind of a total troll on 13 Fanboy as well, because nothing happened. And I know what hotel all the guests were staying at because I worked with Lisa there one year. I know where they stayed. I had no reason to go over. So, yeah, nothing happened. Probably a pisser to the hardcore ones that were sucking up there that were against because they were sucking up. But oh well. Oh well. So to disappoint them. But her photo op was great. And so yeah, I enjoyed doing the photo ops. They're nice and professional, you know. But I got a weakness for the autographs, so I did 22 of them, you know. So yeah.
You mentioned before about the TV stars. I think that's a great transition into our podcast interviews this year because all my favorite interviews I've done this year are with TV icons that I never fucking expected to ever talk to. You know, people I tried to get for years, and they were all just so nice to me. It was amazing. Um, I had Stephanie Kramer from Hunter on, and she was so down to earth and lovely and fun, had just a really infectious laugh and stuff. I mean, it was amazing. I have a feeling if I asked her back on, she would do it. She was just so fun. She had this childlike enthusiasm about her, and it was a blast. Cynthia Stevenson, I had on last month, and that was just a surreal trip. Thank God I know the people that she knows because I don't think she would have done it if I hadn't dropped their names. She was just so fun. You know, she's from the Bay Area like I am, and we really related on that and stuff, and just had a lot of laughs. She was a really fun Secret Silly Game participant, as was Stephanie. She was great with it too. I had Pat Priest, the second Marilyn Munster in the original Munsters, on. She was great despite the fact that she can barely talk anymore because she had her vocal cords surgery a couple years ago. She still has that cadence in her voice that she had when she was 20 and stuff. You know, and she gets a lot of flack online now because her mother was Dwight Eisenhower's secretary when he was president, and that she worked at the White House for a brief time when she was a teenager and all that stuff, right? But she is a lovely, lovely person. Thank God I found her Facebook page that her personal assistant that she does the cons with, or she used to. She just retired from them. That the ones that she used to do with at the cons was running the page, and I could get an interview with her. You know, that was great. And yeah, there's several I'd like to get next year and stuff. There's several I reached out to this year and I haven't heard back yet. I'm supposed to interview Jeremy Miller, who played Ben on Growing Pains, but I haven't heard back yet, but hopefully that's going to happen.
Yeah, when I mentioned TV stars, it's like I did Toronto Comic Con once. And you know, it was fun. It was fun, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But this year when they had done it, I think it was done in February or March. And it's like there was a lot of people from Supernatural and Breaking Bad and people, and I don't watch television, so I'm kind of like I know some of these names, but at the same token, there's a lot. And another thing too, when I did Toronto Comic Con, they only have one female guest. That was Emma Caulfield from Buffy. And I don't watch Buffy, but she was really cute, so I went and met her. But this year, same thing. They only have one female guest, and I'm like, you know, I have this rule, and I don't know why I have this rule. Usually, I like my last guest that I meet to be female. I don't know why that is. It's just kind of an ADHD thing. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't care whether it's male or female that I meet first, but I usually like my last person I meet be female, you know? Um, I don't know why that is, but it is what it is. But anyway, but yeah, they only have one female at Toronto Comic Con again this year. And I'm like, yeah, that's not setting well with me. Now, Fan Expo, they had a lot of people from Smallville, Superman, or whatever, you know. And I met Tyler Hoechlin, who was in Everybody Wants. So he had nothing from that movie on his table, but he was quite thrilled that I saw Everybody Wants some 9 times in the theater, and I got talking to him about that. So there's stuff like that, but they had a lot of people from TV shows and this and that, and like stuff like Supernatural and Stranger Things and stuff like that. I don't watch them, and chances are I'm not going to know a lot of these names because of that. Like I know I think McKenna Grace was in Stranger Things. I know who she is, but TV I'm very selective. I don't even watch Smallville, but I happen to know who those 3 actresses were, you know.
Yeah.
So I didn't go as a Smallville fan. I just knew it would be awesome to do a photo op with 3 hot females from that show. So I did.
Yeah.
But I like cons like Chiller, for example, where there's just a massive, massive, massive variety. And Chiller usually has anywhere between 75 to 100 guests.
Hollywood show. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And they've been going on since 1990. They do it twice a year, April and October. But looking at their backlog, I mean, there's a lot of people that's passed away that have been part of that, and back to 1990, and I'm like, wow, that con's been going on a long time and it's grown. I
When I
wish,
had I remember when I
yeah,
had Ted Bohus on a few years ago. I asked him the dumbest question anyone could ever ask him. I said, "Is this your first time going to ChillerCon next week?" He's like, "No, I've been doing it since 1991." I didn't realize that.
yeah. Well, I wouldn't have realized it either, so, but, but I have fun at Chiller, but again, I hated the wait time between flights from Toronto to New Jersey and this and that. I'm one of these people, I'd like to just get off the plane and go about my day, and waiting in immigration to go through that. Yeah, that was a long time. So, but I had fun when I got there.
They
That
still
was
ask questions. Do they still ask questions like, "What's your favorite movie?" Slapshot. Okay, go through.
Oh yeah. I went and yeah, Chiller was the better encounter with William Shatner I had, although he looked like he'd just fallen out of bed.
Oh
I
yeah.
did not I did not have a good experience with him. That's another thing with Fan Expo. It became the first con where I walked away with some complaints,
Yeah,
and
I
Shatner
told you,
one of
man.
them.
You told me about the first experience, and I'm like, okay, well, that's very rare. And I was like, oh, if you go meet him again, you're gonna see the other side of him, and you did.
Yeah. Well, I got the autograph, with 94. That's one thing I kept hearing. He he's 94. Give him a break. And I'm like, well, James Tolkien is here. He's 94. He seems to be having fun. And this
James
past chip,
Tolkien's not a major star. Shatner is.
yeah, well, you know what? Major star or not, politeness goes a long way. And I know this past chiller was supposed to be James Tolkien's final chiller appearance, but I asked him about that at Fan Expo, and he was kind of like, ah, I don't know. I think he was just having too much fun, you
Also,
know?
guys can be in denial too. People want to think that they can live forever. That's probably one of those cases.
Yeah, like James was having fun. He wrote slacker on my picture, you know. That's his common
Uh,
thing he said to Michael J. Fox and Back to the Future and I hope it's not his last con. I hope he still does some more, but if he feels he's done, you know.
if I could beat James Tolkien, I would get him to sign my Back to the Future poster, and I would get him to sign my VHS of the Woody Allen movie Love and Death, where he plays Napoleon, and like Woody is trying to like shoot him with a musket while he's making out with Diane Keaton, and then he's like, "I swear to God, she's only 18."
James was great. James was
Yeah.
great. My friend Brandy McKenzie, I see at Frightmare in the Falls. I see her at she cosplays at these, but she worked those shows because she worked with Warrington Gillette twice at his table, and that was
Mhm.
how I got to know her. But she said between myself and Claudia Wells, she don't know who harassed her dog the most.
Probably
It's,
Claudia. I know her
oh,
pretty well. She loves animals.
I've never had Claudia on, but I did meet her. But yeah, she had her dog dressed up as Chucky this time too, and I hassled the fucking shit out of that dog.
If
But
you get Claudia on, let me know because I'm gonna try to give you an in joke between her and I that you can bring up to her. I love it when you have my guests on because I know you're gonna bring up an in joke of some kind. You know,
yeah, I know you sent me a lot of people. I have this year, like I said, you'll be number 45. So I just had uh Brian Landis Vulcan on from Rentapel yesterday, and I was happy to get that. That was booked before I left for Frightmare in the Falls, and I got two more booked. But this is something my former magician friend doesn't get is working and sleeping, working and sleeping. He doesn't get that. So it's been a lot harder for me to do, but I still do it. Like this worked out great, you know. You get the probably the hardest ones to schedule are the ones from um Los Angeles because they're
yes.
4 hours behind. Now you're easy to work with, you know. I can work around my job with you, especially since I know your hours when you're up, or I could pretty much, are you up for coming on or whatever. It's not that easy. Like the one I have this Thursday, I get at 5 o'clock my time, so I'm going to have to let them know I won't be into my first location for work that night because if the building closes at 6 and I don't know how long the interview is going to take, it's like, you know what? I got to pass on that night. Now, going to my 8 hour building, it's pretty easy because I got a card that I can get in with, but yeah. But otherwise, it's pretty easy to if I can work it around, I can do that. But yeah, you sent me a bunch of guest names and I just haven't gotten around to a lot of them and I had a few. Barbara on from Airplane, and that was fun, you know. So I've had a few. So, but
You had
but
any
yeah.
experience? Have you had any experiences this year where you were gonna get a guest and then they ended up being a completely rude douchebag or did something weird or anything?
Nothing comes to mind.
Because I had a
Nothing
couple of
comes.
weird experiences I want to share.
Well, you know what? I'm interviewing you, so I should let you take the reins here and tell those experiences. Who are the ones that turned you off?
Okay, I haven't had a bad interviewing experience in quite a while. I think I'm at the
Mhm.
point now where I've got my interview skills down. You know, everyone can access my channel and find out that I'm legit and everything's great, right? I've only had one bad interview this year that got under my skin a little bit. But in terms of like getting people on, there was a couple incidences. I actually told you this in private, and you told me you were going to reach out to her to see how she would react to you. It was the Stepford Wives cast member, and she was the only one I could find on social media out of the whole cast. And most of the cast is dead or they're just super old, you know. So so I reach out to her. She seems pretty cool, and then we schedule it for this day, and then the call is made, and she's like, "Okay, I'm giving you 15 minutes to do this interview because I have to go to the bank." I'm like, Excuse me. First off, I don't do 15-minute interviews. And second off, you had all day to go to the bank. So what are you talking about? You know, I'm pretty legit. I've been doing this a long time. Don't give me that. And then she got all defensive and apologetic. And she's like, okay, listen, I have to go do this thing right now. And I'll get in touch with you later. And then we'll choose another day. And I was like, okay. So we have an email interaction. And I can't remember what I said to her first. I was just like, "Oh my God, what was that all about? What's going on?" You know? And she replied me back saying, "I want to charge you $80 for this interview because I am a professional writer, and if I talk to you, you're taking up valuable time from my writing." And I said to her, "Well, have a nice day because I don't need that kind of shit. That was just so rude. I did research on you. I found out a lot about her that I thought was interesting. You know, she wrote a tell all book in the late 80s where she was like naming names of big rock stars and movie stars that she dated or screwed in Hollywood. Everybody, Rod Stewart, God, Warren Beatty, lots of people, right? And she was going on the talk show circuit, and there's a video of like every like talk show interview she did to promote that book. And I was like, she's a character. She's funny. She comes off a little volatile, but she seems funny, you know. And she got out of the business to become a journalist and eventually an author and stuff, right? And I was looking forward to this interview, and then that happened, and I thought that was so rude, you know. That was just beyond rude. And then I had a guest that I spent 2 years trying to convince to come on. Um, she was on this podcaster that I know's podcast back in like 2016. Well, a lot has happened since 2016. She got attacked by her own dog, and he almost took her arm off, and she had to have stitches. And she's been really weird and everything, right? And she was a hot blonde that used to be on Married with Children and all these different sitcoms where she was always, you know, the eye candy hot girl, you know, and stuff. And we did a Instagram messenger call test because I do that a lot now. Now that Facebook is encrypting all the messengers and everything now, I have to go to Instagram Messenger call. So we do a test the day before, you know, and she said, "I'm available now to do the interview if you want," right? I should have said yes, but the reason I didn't was because I only had like a rundown of notes of what I wanted to talk about. I didn't have like a full research, right? And stuff. So I said, "No, tomorrow is better," you know, and stuff, right? Well, I promoted her on all the social media platforms that we were connected on and connected and, tagged her. She blocked me. And I was thinking, maybe she's got a jealous husband who's jealous or something like that, and maybe he blocked me. I that did happen one time with another guest who actually became a good friend of mine. And no, I don't know what the fuck happened, but I thought that was just so rude and fucked up and weird, quite frankly.
Wow. I don't remember whether I reached out to the one from Stepford Wives or not. I seem to recall that.
Hmm.
I
I'll tell
did.
you her name again in private so you can maybe make another attempt.
Well, doesn't sound to me that promising. If I reached out, I didn't hear anything because I don't recall having somebody on from Stepford Wives. So
Well, no, I can tell you haven't had her on, but I'm saying like in terms of like reaching out to her just to hear if she would give you the same excuses and all the weirdness and shit. I mean, you're like the troll master now, Greg. I mean, look what you did with Judy. So,
yeah.
you
Oh
can do it.
boy, did I keep that under my hat. And
Yeah.
I didn't tell I only had told a handful of people. I wanted to keep that just close to the vest as possible because I didn't want any of the crooked assholes that I had dealt with from 13 Fanboy to fuck up my weekend. I work way too hard and way too many hours to save money up to do these cons to have some overzealous asshole come in and like, oh gee, we better tell Judy he's gonna be there, blah 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 blah. Especially since like she was my fourth guest I met, you know. So Jake the Snake was high on my list to meet. He was the first one. He and Cheryl Roberts were both there, and I met them first. I wasn't gonna have my weekend ruined. So it was hard not to promote the event.
No,
But
you shocked me. I didn't know you were going to go. I thought you were going to sit out the rest of cons this year, you know?
Scotty told me that Judy Aronson was going to be there. And I was considering strongly not going because of the whole thing. And that was when I was promoting Chiller. And Chiller had a really great lineup. They definitely did. But once Jake the Snake got announced, it was like, okay, I've got to enter this game here, and I gotta figure out what I want to do. And I told Nancy McLaughlin I contacted, and I had a conversation with her about it, and she totally supported what my plan was because I didn't want to do anything nasty. I know for a long time I said if I ever met Judy, I'd spit in her face over the 13 fanboy thing, but it's kind of funny when you're faced with that opportunity. I kind of thought more along the lines of my dad, and I thought, well, there's a better way for me to do this where I'm going to gain a lot better victory over my critics in that field. And boy, did I. Um, so I told Nancy what I wanted to do. She supported it. She encouraged it. And I spoke to Rob Mahoney about it because he was one of the people that was part of that whole witch hunt. So, and he supported me on it. And of course, my younger brother knew because he watches Skittles while I'm gone. And so obviously he was going to know. He was skeptical about it because he's like, he was worried that Judy would recognize me and this and that. And I'm like, but I'm not guilty of anything. That was all this fucking bullshit. Like all Debbie Sue had to do was fucking come to me privately. So this is all on her. Sorry, it's all on her, you know?
I told you make it your profile picture, man.
But I mean, once Orlando Rodriguez came out, like even he was annoyed at the witch hunt. And he was the one that sent me the screenshots. But there were innocent people blamed. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go. I'm going to get this close and nothing's going to happen. She's going to get grace from me instead of vengeance. She's going to get grace in the form of I paid for a couple pictures to get autographed. I paid for the selfie. I paid for the photo op. I attended 3 panels, and the one that she was part of, I attended, and I prefer to remember her that way. I didn't give her a card or anything like that. I just, but it was kind of a troll too on the whole 13 fanboy thing because it's like, yeah, yeah, what was it that you guys were calling me? What was it? What was it? And it's like Bobby Heckman said to me, he says, you know, like even Judy Aronson can't argue, nothing happened. I was not a threat to her. I just basically made the assholes that were at me on 13 Fanboy, I just made them look like complete fucking idiots, is what I did. I went back to Toronto. Now I'm back here. Judy went on her way, whatever. I know where all the guests stayed for Frightmare in the Falls because I know because I worked with Lisa at one. I know. I had reason to go over there when Lisa was there because I was helping her bring stuff over to the con. Other than that, I didn't have reason to go over there. So where's the threat? There was none. And that and I'm kind of glad I did this. And I had a lot of people reach out to me that were A, surprised I did it, and B, glad I handled it the way I did. So they don't have a pot to piss in when it comes to criticizing me now. And if Judy is at another con I'm at, well, I met her once. I don't have to meet her again, you know. I'm not saying that as a nasty thing. I did my thing, and I'm quite happy about it, you know. And I don't have any doubts that people from 13 Fanboys saw that. I don't care. I wasn't going to hide it once the event was over. Judy herself might even know by now, but it's like even she has got to admit nothing nefarious happened, So all's good. So all this bullshit I was hearing, and I think I know where all the bullshit was coming from. And I'm not necessarily pointing the finger at Judy on that one. I think you know who I'm pointing the finger at on that one. Yeah, somebody that don't know if she'll get the same grace, on a meet and greet, but who knows? Who knows? But I'm kind of happy about that. Making up a profile picture would be kind of funny, but the profile picture I got up there, Lisa took at that first Horrorama that I went to. And so I kind of keep that up there, but yeah, it would be kind of funny to do that, But Judy was tickled that we have matching final chapter t-shirts on. So I had a decent experience. So
Yeah.
I was going to tell her who I was on the Sunday, just to, make apologies personal and this and that, but I had to be at my bus at 1:45. So I wanted to get the rest of my autographs in. So I did that. And you know what? I had my piece with her. I did the photo op and I met her for got the selfie and the autographs. Like, I was good. I was good to go, you know. So yeah. What was your reaction? when you saw that.
Trying to remember. Oh yeah, you told me in that voice message you sent me that you had met her because I hadn't seen the picture yet, right?
Okay.
I had to go on your page to see it, and I was like, "What? Are you kidding me? Like really?" I was like, "What?" And then when I saw the picture, I'm just laughing at the smile on your face that had me in stitches because it was the ultimate trolling smile, and I was like, "Oh man, I wonder what everybody thinks about this now. If anybody saw it, that's what I thought."
Those that knew that I was true blue in my character, they congratulated me. A lot of them had said that they don't know if they would have done the same thing, meaning they don't know if they would have been as friendly about it. But it's kind of like, you know what? I had something to prove. And I had to prove that, you know what? I'm not the bad guy here. I didn't do anything wrong. They're the bad guy. And when I say bad guy, I'm not meaning Judy here. I mean some other people behind that film, 13th Fanboy. So, you know, they could be. I bet there's some involved with that film that are pissed I didn't do anything because they can't blah 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 behind my back. I'm like, no, oh well. Sorry, I couldn't give you the horrific climax that you wanted, but you know,
A page of a certain Friday the 13th person who blocked you recently to see if she was aware of this picture or anything, and she wasn't. I don't think she would even post about it anyway because she wasn't involved in the drama, you know. But I was just, checking to see and stuff. Yeah.
well, I was told that um, the head person behind 13 Fanboy, I'll just say it, Debbie Sue Voorhees. I was told that she had posted something that said, "Well, I guess hell did freeze over." He said, "I'm just glad she's okay." Now, the person that told me this, like, I don't have any connection with Debbie Sue anymore, but this stuff gets relayed to me, and this is something they don't realize. I find out about this stuff. It
Just
comes
like when,
back to me.
yeah, people who've told me about Gilmore talking shit about me at ChillerCon, that comes back to me and shit. There's people
Hmm.
who care, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, I can't prove that that was about me. But and you know that's fine. I'll give Debbie Sue the benefit of the doubt. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that it was about me. Judy Aronson being okay, being all right. Why wouldn't she be? Why wouldn't she be? I wasn't guilty of anything in the first place, you know? It's all this fucking drama that they drummed up, and they're upset because it backfired. And they're also upset because there's a lot of people higher ups than that, like bigger names than that movie that sided with me. There you go. So I did this. It was peaceful. I was glad to have done it. You know, do I have to meet Judy again? Not necessarily. I'm not against it, but she just happened to be at that con. I got it out of my system. I'm good. I actually feel kind of liberated about it. You know, feel kind of liberated
Do
about it. I'm happy about it.
you think you'll do that again with other people you've had beef with?
Like who?
I don't know. I mean, um, I don't know. I can't. I'm just saying. I mean, do you think you would do it again?
It would depend on the person. Like Debbie Sue, I don't think I'm ready for that right now because
Oh, thought of
you
one.
know,
I just thought of
huh?
one. If you went to a con and Steve Joyner happened to be there, like what would you do?
No. Steve Joyner, I would have no reason to. interact with.
Yeah.
None. I'd have no reason because he wouldn't be a guest. It's if he's there with Eddie Deason, I'd probably meet Eddie Deason, but I don't need to have an interaction with Steve unless he recognized me and said something. But that would depend on what he said and how I was addressed. But I cut ties with him for good reason, and I'm still connected with Lena, who bore the brunt of some of that. Not on my end, mind you, but I know Steve's done some of the cons with Eddie because I've seen posts, but from Eddie. But I'm like, I wouldn't be against meeting Eddie Deason, but this would be different with us because Steve, you're not going to see him on there as a guest. So I wouldn't need to have an interaction. There would be no avoiding or approaching Steve. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care. Judy, on the other hand, she was a guest. So it was like, okay, how do I approach this? What do I do? And I think I handled that well. But no, that's where I stand with that. And anybody else I had, like who was a Peter New from Black Christmas '06, I don't think I'm going to see him at a con anyway, so don't matter. But um, who was the guy from it's escaping me, guy from Walking Tall I didn't have the best interaction with.
Vincent.
Bo Swinson. Yeah, I'll probably just let that die. I didn't have the best interview with him. Um,
Like the horror movie he did with Jimmy McNichol, Night Warning. I think I reached out to Jimmy McNichol years ago. I think I'm going to try it again next year when the movie turns 45.
yeah, but I mean, you know, I don't need to meet Bo again, but I don't have any animosity towards him. It's just I think I felt kind of hijacked there. But it is what it is, it is what it is. But I had a good time at Chiller. I didn't spend any money out of my checkings. My savings was almost all gone, mind you, but you know what? That I knew that was going to happen. I can start saving up on that again, and so yeah, I I had a good meet and greet with everybody. Judy just happened to be a major benefit that I was able to do that, get that out of my system. I didn't cause a stir, and I didn't need a stir caused by shit disturbers. And I knew if I went public and announced anything for Brightman in the Falls, I knew I knew there'd be some fucking asshole that would say something, and then they would do it because they're keyboard warriors. They want to do it and then they want to hide. They want to run and hide. I gotta tell you, when I was growing up, going to school, I got bullied a lot, because I was socially awkward. And I remember there was one guy, he didn't like me for whatever reason, probably because I was socially awkward, but he wanted to fight with me. And he went to a different school, so I'd only see him at bus stops in between bus schedules, but he wanted to fight me. I forget what grade this was. I was in junior high. But I remember, I was in my homeroom class, and one or two people come in there and told me this guy was waiting for me at the bus stop for a fight. And my question was, why? Why? And they said, because of what you said. And I was like, what did I fucking say? I didn't say the word fucking at that time. I was in school, but I was like, what did I say? And they were like, you know what you said. But here's the deal. I didn't say anything. They just wanted to see a fight, but they didn't want it to affect them. You know, if they were in my situation, it'd be a different story. They pussy out of it. They fucking pussy out of it. So
In school, I got into a lot of fights. I'll
yeah.
tell you,
Well, here's the deal.
fights.
I didn't say anything, and they know I didn't say anything. This guy that wanted to fight with me was a show off. He saw me as somebody that a lot of people were distanced from because I was always the last one picked for a team. I'd be last this. Like I said, I was socially awkward growing up. And so I became a target. And because I was a target, they wanted it was just a rallying thing. It's like the people throwing the tampons at Carrie and Carrie, you know. You know, they're all chanting and chanting and chanting, as long as it's not them. As long as it's not them, you know. So that's the thing with 13 Fanboy. I wasn't going to put up with this yak 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 behind my back. And yeah, I'm glad what I did. And I bet you, yeah, it was a total troll on them. Nothing happened. It was totally peaceful. Totally peaceful. And they can fuck right off. That's what they can do. They lost. I remember Creepy Gold put it best. He said, Greg, you won. Because he knows about this. And Cindy Hines, I'd talking to her about it whenever I met her for dinner. She rolled her eyes at the whole thing, you know? Yep. So
She's
there
very
you go.
positive. She's such a great person.
Oh, Cindy was wonderful. Cindy was wonderful. Yeah. But I'm very proud how that went. I'm very happy about it. You know, there you go. It probably threw them through a fucking loop, and it was meant to. But now I can move on. They're gonna have to find somebody else to fuck with and then regret it later.
You don't need that shit.
Nope. Nope. But yeah, those were those were nice signed photos. And yeah, now when I watch the final chapter, instead of thinking about 13 Fanboy, I can think of, well, I had a good experience meeting Judy at the con there, and I won. So, yeah, all's good. So I don't know. You got any guests that line? I know I don't really talk about mine ahead of time, but you got guests that you want to talk about that you got lined up or?
Yeah. I got Kelly Holland, legendary porn filmmaker. She played a hot wife in Paradise Motel, a very B teen sex comedy movie from 1985. She and I were supposed to do this back in May, but she runs her own business. She's been super crazy busy, slammed, but we're gonna do it tomorrow. I got Nancy Hendrickson from the Trauma horror movie Mother's Day coming back on. We're going to do a nerd out. I'm enjoying the nerd out conversations so much more than the standard interviews, you know. I still do love to do the standard interviews, of course. I got Bob Core from Fright Night coming on. I got Lee Taylor Young
Who was
finally.
that?
Oh, who does he play? Yeah, he's like a small part character in it. He was a friend of Tom Holland's. I talked to him on the phone last week, and he was telling me, he saw like the early origin scripts of the movie because they were really tight, and stuff. Yeah, I forget who he plays. I know his wife, Clara Perryman. She's been on my show and stuff, and I've been
I
wanting him on for
love
a while.
Fright Night. I've never had anybody from Fright Night, but I love Fright Night. Fright Night's
Yeah,
awesome,
I
you
had
know.
Stark on years ago. I had Stephen Jeffries on last year. That was a weird experience. I'm not
I
even going to
reached
go
out to
into.
Stephen Jeffries, never heard back. So
He's an odd guy. That's all I can say. And I got Lee Taylor Young coming on, which I'm friggin' excited about. We both have had Day on, but Lee Taylor Young, oh my God, always been a huge crush. I've loved her in almost everything she's ever done, and she does like the Christian ministry now, and she's just a lovely person. I'm so looking forward to it. And she read my bio and she loved hearing about my journey as well. So that's going to be a great one. I got Richard Gaudier's daughter coming on. Richard Gaudier was Jaime the robot on Get Smart back in the '60s, and we were supposed to do this summer, and then shit came up, and so I got those coming up. I got a few possibilities that I'm looking forward to. That I'm still trying to schedule, which brings me to my next point, and I brought this up to you when we did our Fourth of July conversation. I mean, do you find now that 10 years ago it was easier to get guests on as opposed to now because there's so many podcasts out there?
It's about the same. 10 years ago, it was 2015 that I started doing it.
Mhm.
And 10 years ago, I found it harder because I was just learning about time zones, and now I kind of get it. Eastern Standard, Mountain Time, Pacific Coast Time, and then there's nobody knows what Atlantic Canada time where I am is. But then you got Australia and you got the UK, and I'm getting the hang of that the last few years. Um, I don't know. I don't really think about it. Do I find it easier? Like people might say, well, Greg, you're struggling because you've only done 45 interviews so far this year, but that's a work thing, you know. That's a work thing. Like I'm back in 2022, I did 170, and that's my record. It'll probably always be my record. Um, I'll be lucky if I hit 70 this year. And I'm okay. I'm not really complaining about it. It's just,
After I stopped trying to top myself each year, I've been so much better off. I don't even worry about how many I did the year or how many I did for Halloween October like I used to. I'm just taking it easy. And then like when I do the year count for my status at the end of the year, that's when I'm satisfied. I don't need to just worry about how many episodes I did or whatever, you know. But I feel that since the strike happened in 23, it's been a lot harder to get guests because so many people are inundated with other podcasts or they can't get work that they're going to get paid for, or there's a million reasons. There's still old people in the business who don't know what a podcast is still. There's a lot of reasons, but in the early years when I had trouble getting guests, right, it was mainly because I was going after the wrong people and I was just thinking too big. And then I would find, smaller people that were just awesome. And then I was busy. And then when I would slow down again and stuff, you know, I had to like really dig deep and everything. But now, yeah, I mean, I'm still lucky, obviously, and I'm getting bigger people like all those TV icons I mentioned before, but it's getting harder, man. And that's one of the reasons why I do a lot more nerd outs and stuff because I just want to keep busy and having my favorite guests on and doing the nerd out conversations with me, you know.
yeah. Um, I don't know. I mean, it is what is like I did 20 interviews in 2015. That was my first year. And I thought that was a lot at the time. But it turns out that's been the lowest I've done. Like even 2020, before the station closed, I'd done 30, you know. But but my most was 170 in 2022. And that was pretty cool. It's not the only time I've ever had over 100. But I find that I'm slowing down a lot because um, when you work from 6 at night till 6 in the morning on average between several buildings, on average two, maybe some depending on the night, three buildings a night. It sometimes it makes it hard to schedule an interview where you know Like weekends are a lot easier for me to do that with, but I can get them during the week. Cindy Hines, I did during the week. I actually had her on, I think, the day before I went to Frightmare in the Falls, and she knows I have a heavy work schedule, and so her time zone worked out perfectly. So I'm glad I got her
Blushing.
because that was she was the only one I had in October. That hadn't happened since April 2017 or 18, one of them. I had Pat Cardy on from Horror High, and that was the only one. I think it was April of that year. So that's happened before. It doesn't happen a lot, but then I got the guy yesterday, and I got you, and I got two more books. So it's very spontaneous with me in terms of guest reach out. So
Blushing when Cindy brought me up during the conversation that she mentioned that we had talked the day before. I was just so blushing about that. Some people they do interviews and they forget who they talk to. And just it's great to be remembered. I mean, she's become a genuine friend that I hope to meet someday. She told me she wants to take a drive to California sometime, and I'm like, yeah, just let me know if you come through here and stuff. We'll have a blast.
yeah, she's great. I met her son on the Sunday. He's disabled, so makes it a little harder for her to get around, but at the same token, she loves spending time with her son. They get a great relationship. So I guess there's someone to meet me. So we got to that Sunday as I was right around the time I was waiting in line for Kimberly J. Brown. So which was my last one. So no, I met her for a couple of meals. She didn't get to make the after party. She wanted to, but she didn't. I did make the after party. I'm kind of glad I did. And I did the after party the year before that too. So when Blood Opera was there, and Blood Opera was not there this year, which kind of surprised me. First time they had missed a con. So I don't know what's up there, but I know they're busy. But other than that, I had a decent time with it. So yeah, I don't know. But I try to get to a couple cons a year anyway. I at least try to aim for that. So yeah.
Yeah, they can be fun. They can be fun, but they can also be really weird and toxic and overpriced at the same time too.
What I generally do is I try to, number one, I like getting VIP because VIPs, especially at Frightmare in the Fall, VIP, you can get the front of the lineup. You can skip the lines. That's always a plus. I've never had any issues at Frightmare in the Falls. You know, people have been great. Um, I had a few issues, of course, at Fan Expo, but not enough to keep me from uh, giving it another go next year. But I generally like to do the get the VIP so I get the tote bags and see what's in
Literally thought,
that.
I literally thought
Huh?
you were gonna kill. I thought you were gonna kill somebody after the Fan Expo experience. I mean, you were mad. You were pissed.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I got to Fan Expo and I couldn't fucking get to where I was supposed to get my tote bag because that one runs 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I was arriving on Thursday, but I thought, well, a lot of the guests were not going to be there on the Thursday. They were mostly Friday, Saturday, and there's a large portion of them there Sunday. But James Tolkien, Claudia Wells, they were two that were going to be there on Thursday. And I thought, well, I'll knock them out of the way, get them done. So I'll have two that the cross off the list. It took me fucking forever to find the place to get my tote bag. And the people didn't seem to fucking know where it was either. And they were working there.
Incompetence.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to find yourself, find your way around in that building. So, like Frightmare in the Falls, at least, the Niagara Falls Convention Center, it's laid out. I mean, yes, I had a hard time finding James Balsamo, but I mean, once he told me where he was, like I knew I figured he'd be in the autograph vendor area, but he was out in the lobby area. And there's other things out there in the lobby area. That's where they have the autograph icon things where you can purchase autographs that were done past there that they sell and this and that. And there's other stuff. But that's where James was with the other two. And I was like, okay. But but at least with Frightmare in the Falls, the layout, like I knew I wasn't going to have a hard time finding people. It's just a matter of going up the line of where the autographs are and seeing who you want to meet and getting in line. Little difficult with that fan expo, and then with the Daphne Keene situation with the getting stuff ahead of time and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't care for that. I'm not going to fault her there. She seemed friendly enough, but yeah, I like to go up to a table, picture, selfie, combo. It's that simple, quite complicated. And then you got ones too, and it was Dreyfus was supposed to be doing this on his, but I've noticed other people have done it. They'll charge you for extra for premium items. And I'm like, why? Like if somebody brings something for you to sign, like,
I regret not doing VIP for Sister Creature Con when Elvira was there because just all that waiting in line, I was just agitated and just I felt sore. But if I'm in that position again to get a VIP pass, I will. I'm not gonna wait all that time
you
anymore.
want me to tell you what I do? I do it online, so that way it can get mailed to me or whatever. But I
Yeah.
I I do mine usually months in advance. So, and it's just like me getting my flights ready. I usually do that a month or two or three ahead of time so that it's taken care of, you know? Same with photo ops. I do that ahead of time so I can knock them out of the way. Whenever I went to Fan Expo, the Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd photo op, which was the most pricey one I got, I had that all paid for by the time the other three weren't. I still, but they weren't as expensive. Well, even McGregor was, but still. But the other one, all taken care of. It's just a matter of, knocking it down, which I will.
I saw the Back to the Future cast in 2016 at my first Comic Con. Yeah, Michael was 200, Christopher Lloyd was 100, and Leah Thompson was 60. And she was the cheapest one, so I went with it because I had very little money. It was my first lesson in like, okay, I gotta bring a lot more money when I go to these things. And
You know
I
what?
still had fun.
Leah was supposed to be at Fan Expo, and she ended up being one of the cancellation because she had some kind of film project. I
Yeah.
would have loved to have met her because I would have thanked her for doing a Doubtfire challenge on Cameo. But I would have loved to have met Leah. But it is what it is. She had some kind of because I know she's active online, but but she ended up canceling. So it is what it is. I tried to convince them to bring Huey Lewis, but it didn't happen. But yeah, oh, I don't know. What cons are you aiming for next year?
I mean, if I can go to the East Bay Comic Con in February, I'll see who's going to be there.
Hmm.
That's just, two or three celebrities or whatever, and a couple local people I know that are friends, like my friend Miss Misery, who you still haven't had on your show yet. You've got to have her on. She's awesome. Um, I don't think I'll do Hollywood show next year. It's just way too expensive. At least I did it once, so I could say I did. And plus, I needed my con fix. It was my birthday, and I just felt like it was time. You know, um, I don't have a desire to go back to Sinister Creature Con all these years later because it's so different now. They got photo ops there, and the prices there are getting insane. I don't know. I mean, just anything, here in the Bay Area or something that's like a little rinky dink or something. If I know people, I'll go see them, or if it's somebody I really want to meet, I'll go do it. But just right now, I'm not really, excited about going. Like Sister Creature Con was a couple weeks ago, and there was people there I wanted to meet, oh God. Oh, Amy Steele was there. I had her on years ago, but I never met her in person. And Adrian King was there, who I've had on twice and stuff like that. But I just wanted to save my money. I just didn't want to go.
I've never had Amy Steele on, and I've
She's
kind of given
great.
up on. I've given up on it.
She's
I kind
great.
of, yeah,
She's no filtered, no bullshit, and just fun.
yeah. Um, she played the same game with me as that PJ Souls. If I do yours, I have to do everybody's, and I'm kind of like that paints a sour picture for me.
I know she did to
Adrian,
me too, and she's been on my show, PJ.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it makes me like it's hard to resist them if they're at a con because you're a fan and whatnot. But the same token, it kind of sours that urgency now. Whereas Adrian King, I've had on once. I'd like to get her on again. I can't seem to get her to respond.
Yeah, she's been
So,
doing that to me too. Yeah.
so
Yeah. I had Robbie Morgan back on,
yeah, I tried to
this
get
summer.
her. I tried to get her and Glenn both to come on together to talk about the relationship as siblings and both being stunt people. But it's kind of like I've kind of given up on that. Like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like I got people I have on pretty much every year because I know they're game for it. And
Yeah, we both got our regulars that we have on year after year.
yeah, yeah. And then like like I'm going to I'll be reaching out to have Tracy Savage back on for Boxing Day. Um, obviously, and I'm going to last year I didn't get her back because she's taking care of her sister, but I gotta have Wally on again. Wally's a trip.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
Wally and I talked about doing another one this year and stuff. And I'm trying to remember. I think she told me that she did. Oh, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was. I wanted to talk about something that she actually didn't know anything about. It is what it was, and so I'm trying to think of something that we can talk about this time because we talked about her career the first time. We nerded out the second time. I was like, okay, what can we talk about a third time? I'll figure it out eventually, you know. But let me tell you this, I've had so many guests come back on in the last year to do the nerd out with me, right? And some people know exactly what we're doing. Some people are like, what is this? And their energy is just really weird because they're talking about film, television, and music that they grew up on. And I'm talking about growing up on it too, even though I'm a generation or two younger. And then there are people, including some that who have turned me down of doing a nerd out with me because they don't want to be reminded of abuse that they suffered from in their childhood. Isn't that pretty heavy, man? Yeah. It kind of brought a tear to my eye.
Well, I would like to think if it's a nerd out, it's just two people chilling, and if something serious comes up,
Yeah.
something serious comes up. you know?
Yeah, I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later who they were because I want to keep their privacy private.
Hmm.
They're good people too, good people. And yeah, I just thought, now that is heavy. They don't want to go back and remember childhood that way. And I've had some great first time guests this year that I put on my list for Nerd Outs next year. Um, I know you're kind of over the whole bucket list guest thing, but like, have you come up with anybody for next year that you really want?
Not really. Not really. I've had a number of first timers on this year, more than I thought I would, you know? And but bucket list, I can't think of anybody, I've given up on PJ Souls, you know.
Mhm.
I've given up on Amy Steele, you know. Judy Aronson, I'm not gonna ask, but because of 13 fanboy, but at least with Judy, at least I got some personal closure with that with Fan Expo. I did my thing.
Think she would
So
do it now.
I'm not gonna reach out to her about it. I did my
Uh,
thing. I'm not gonna agitate her. I trolled 13 fanboy. I did my thing at Frightmare in the Falls. Like, I think I'm good with that. It's the perfect way to end the movie, so to speak. Um, but in terms of yeah, I can't really think of anybody off the top of my head.
Me, let's see. I wanted to get a guest from Pennies for Heaven. Pennies from Heaven turns 45 next year. I found out the bank teller in the movie is on Facebook and she has a website. She's still like a theater actress, and stuff. I was thinking about reaching out to her. I forgot her name offhand. It's written down in my list. Um, I want to try Gigi Vorgan again. She was in Caveman, and she was one of the hot girls in Jaws 2, and she was one of
She
the
was one of
Vesperal
the.
Virgins in History of the World Part 1, you know. And I reached out to her in 21, and I never heard back. I know she read at least one of my messages that I sent her. Um, who else? Oh, I've been wanting to get someone from Straw Dogs on for a long time. That's like one of my favorite Sam Peckinpah movies. It's so underrated and stuff. And Dustin Hoffman takes acting to a whole new level in that movie than he had previously with The Graduate and Midnight Cowboy. I love his performance in it. A guy I know just got the producer on. She worked with Peckinpah in a couple of movies, like in his later years. I think I have a chance there with her. She's on Instagram, I saw, and lots of people, from 1976, 81, 86 movies. They're hitting the milestones.
Yeah, I could think of a few. Yeah, in terms of movies and stuff. Like obviously I'd like to get somebody involved with Clash of the Titans. I've been very lucky to get John Walsh on, who worked with Harryhausen. So I was
Oh
able
yeah.
to do that. But that cast is either a lot of them are deceased or a lot of them are, I wouldn't shouldn't say old, but inaccessible. Um, but I love that. Um, Let me see others. Miss 45, of course, is one of my favorites. I've been very lucky with that one. Uh, in terms of the Zoe tributes, and I've had a couple of cast members on from that. Um,
The movie that Abel Ferreira made right after Miss 45, Fear City. I had a guest on from that this year. This girl, Nina Jones, she plays one of the strippers in the
I've
movie
never
and stuff.
seen Fear City. I've never seen it.
It's good. It's a very underrated thriller. It's got Tom Berenger, Melanie Griffith, Ray Don Chong. What's his name? He was in a lot of stuff back in the day. Oh, well, Billy D. Williams. But then there's a New York actor who's pretty well known. I forget is in that. But Nina Jones, she was pretty cool. And Fear City, I think, is very underrated.
Okay. Well, I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it. But Miss 45 is certainly one I really love. Um, I don't know, there's a number of them, like
Mm,
there's a number of them from 1981. Like you mentioned Caveman. I enjoyed that. It's very underrated. Um,
yeah, you had Ed on because I connected you with Ed. Yeah.
yeah. And I had Carl Gottlieb on too. And I think one of the big reasons I got him through Steve Joyner at the time, but I think one of the big reasons I got Carl is because he rarely got to talk about Caveman. And that was a film he directed, you know?
You know what's funny? It's funny. I've heard so many interviews he's done, right? It's always about Jaws, always about the jerk, always about working for the Smothers Brothers. No one ever asks him about his role in the MASH movie. And he's funny in that movie. He's like laying there with his shirt off and he's got the sunglasses on. He's kind of lazy
Mhm.
and shit. It's like no one ever asks him about that. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, I asked about Jaws and I asked about The Jerk, but I also asked about Caveman. Now, Caveman is not as good as those other two films, but Caveman, I mean, that was something we saw at the drive-in when I was young, and it kind of always kind of stuck with me. Um,
Mhm.
so I was glad to ask him about, and he was happy to talk about it. Um, but I mean, oh, gee, there's just a ton of horror film. Like I had Stephen Lack on from Scanners, and
I
he's
did
made,
2 years ago.
yeah, I like him. I'm hoping I know he's done some of his artwork stuff here in Fredericton. I'm hoping one of these times I catch him at one of those. I was out of town whenever he was here last time, but he's familiar, definitely familiar with New Brunswick. And I wouldn't mind getting Belansky on again for the Howling.
Yeah. Get
Um,
Belinda. She's so awesome. Keep having her on. She's just got great
I've
stories. I
I've
just love
had
her
her on a
energy.
number of times, but
Yeah.
I don't think she's on Facebook anymore.
Yeah, she keeps reactivating and deactivating her Facebook, but she's got a couple accounts on Instagram that I follow and I see her post there all the time and
Okay.
stuff. We we were going to do a podcast this summer about my favorite subject, sex, and she asked me, what specifically she wanted to talk about, and I told her and everything and stuff. She's like, I don't mind talking about that unrecorded, but I don't want to talk about it on record because I have an image to protect and stuff. And I was like, okay, well, let's talk about that off record, and we did. And it was good enough. She told me some good stuff.
Yeah, and I've never had anybody from an American Werewolf in London. I wouldn't mind. I like that. Um, I was lucky to get somebody from Looker, though. I was very fortunate there. That was a late
Oh,
discovery
Ray
for
Taylor
me.
Young was in Looker.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
Wow. Okay. Well, there's an option. Wow.
yeah.
I liked Looker. That was just kind of a late discovery for me, but I enjoyed it. What else?
Yeah.
But I mean, I haven't had anybody on from Funhouse, or The Burning or
Yeah,
anything
you
like
have
that.
Miles Chapin. Remember, you
Oh,
had him on
yes.
from the Funhouse.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I did. I did. I did. I'm trying to think what else he was in that I was highlighting. Oh
Oh,
yeah, get was it
Less the Beast and Children.
get crazy?
Get Crazy was another one he was in. Howard the
Yeah.
Duck. Um,
Wow.
God, he was
Okay. Yes, I
French
did.
Postcards. Yeah.
Yeah, I did have some bike from Funhouse. Okay. Um.
There's a bunch of people I can send you that I know have anniversaries. Um, God,
Well, that guy from
there's so
Back to
many.
School hasn't gotten back to me. You know, like.
John, I'll remind him again. It takes him a while.
But I mean,
He's a great guy.
I like Back to School. That's gonna be anniversary next year. I should reach out to the other girl from Caddyshack that you had on this year.
Minerva, yeah, you'd like her.
Yeah.
It's funny. I talked unrecorded with Ann Ryerson last week, and it was so great talking to Ann because we almost lost her this year. Her health is not too good,
Oh
but
wow.
we talked about Minerva and stuff, and she's like, yeah, she was like my little sister on that set. I thought she was going to be a big movie star, but then, you know, um, life happens. But she loves her to this day like a little sister. You know,
Hmm.
and yeah, I'm going to reach out to Spalding tomorrow. I'm because I he was on that podcast I listened to, and I found out he was on Facebook, which I didn't know and stuff. And he looks completely different now, so I'll reach out to Spalding.
Wonder if he's still picking his nose.
Yeah, I want a hot dog, a hamburger, a milkshake. You'll get nothing and like it.
Yeah. Um, and I wouldn't mind to get like I'm open to getting people. Love to get somebody else from Dressed to Kill. That's my favorite horror movie of 1980. I've never had anybody from The Shining. There's one that's eluded
Me
me.
neither. Me neither. That's one that's always hung over my head. I tried to get Danny Lloyd for a long time. He was active on Twitter, and then some people told me he's got a couple of screws loose. You don't want him, and I was like, okay. But then I tried to get the twins, and they were active on social media. They had like their an email and stuff, but every time I emailed them, I never heard back. It was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one that's eluded me, you know. The Changeling's another one, you know, like
Oh,
can you
yeah. Roberta Maxwell, I reached out to, never heard nothing from.
you know, again a great Canadian horror film. Um there's lots, you know. I've kind of fallen by the waistline when it comes to um I was lucky to get the ones that I did this year.
Mhm.
Um, but when it comes to anniversaries, like I can't really off the top of my head think of too many. And we're mentioning ones for next year, so you know,
Yeah.
but as far as this year goes,
I don't trip anymore if I can't find somebody by the end of the year from something I really want, I just let it, organically happen, even if it's the next year, but like for the most part, there's a lot of good ones I had this year for anniversaries, and some I'm still trying for, and now that Halloween season's over, I can focus on the non-horror stuff, or maybe even stuff I tried to do during Halloween, at the end of the year and stuff. So
well, a couple from 1985, I like Fright Night and After Hours are two of my favorites from that year, and I haven't
yeah,
had luck. You know, I reached out to that guy from After Hours you mentioned, but I never heard back, you know. It's
Clarence,
so
yeah, Clarence, yeah. His wife is very active on Facebook. She's the one who connected me with him and stuff.
hmm.
But I don't know what's up there. I know they have a lot of projects going in their local area all the time. There's an actress from After Hours I reached out to, Kate Kaplan. I haven't heard back from her, but I'm going to try her again
Who is
and
she?
stuff. And then I think she was one of like the punk rock girls, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Remember when he goes to the punk club in the movie?
Yep.
In fact,
Yep.
I think that's when Clarence is the bouncer, right? He's the bouncer of the punk club. Yeah, that's
Yeah. And demons, like I've given up on Doretta, but I know you got one person from Demons, the girl in the car, the punk car.
one girl. Yeah. Oh God, what's how do I yeah, how do I pronounce her name? I can't remember. She's cool. She's cool though. Yeah.
Yeah. Demons, I just that was something I didn't see until I did Horrorama. That's where I first saw that. And I was like, this is a really cool movie.
Love that movie.
I like both of them, yeah.
That was my
But
introduction to giallo horror, like because I was a late bloomer coming to it.
I love Giallo. I like stuff by Mario Bava. Um, I've had a
Mm,
hard time getting people from his films though because of language barriers. Like I had somebody I was
yeah.
in touch with from Twitch of the Deaf Nerve, and I know they were responding to
Yeah.
me through translator. They didn't speak English. Um, but I love Dario Argento. I've been very, very fortunate that I got, I think, four people from Suspiria. That I lucked out on with that one. Um, and I was lucky to get Daria when I did. Very, very fortunate that I had her on. But like I remember I had contacted the kid that was in Deep Red, and he was also in Suspiria. But again, it was a translator thing and didn't speak any English. So,
I reached out to
or
that kid too years ago, and he never responded. So,
well,
like, I was just like, figure, yeah, he must not
he
speak English.
he was open to doing the show. Like I think there's a thing where you can type stuff in and it comes up in the whatever language. And I think that he was open to doing the interview. And I was like, shit, if you don't speak English, how am I going to do this? You know? So I explained that there was, you know, but I've wanted to get more people from Argento movies. Like the person from Inferno never got back to me. I had somebody from Tenebrae get back to me, but again, translator.
Yeah, I told you to get in touch with Irene Miracle from Inferno. Yeah, I know it takes her a while.
Yeah, so I do love I like Jallo, you know. Uh Baba does a lot of great stuff, but I love the style of Dario Argento. I like the style of his movies. So,
Mm.
but like I said, I was lucky with Suspiria, where I've gotten four people from it, and I feel very blessed on that. But mm, I can't think of any others. I should reach out to Jeffrey Voorhees because he was open to it when I met him at Fan Expo. You had the son of from Jaws.
We had Jeffrey Voorhees on during the pandemic.
Yeah,
Oh, but you're talking about Robert Shaw's nephew. Yes, I did have him on.
okay, his nephew. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What was he like?
He sounds exactly like his uncle, like eerily like him, and he was cool. I like talking to him. He obviously loved his uncle, and he's got great stories about him just being the character he was, the guy who never held back and always had a drink in his hand and all that stuff. I loved talking to Christopher Shaw. I recommend him.
Okay. Um, but I did go to Jaws when it screened a couple times this year for its 50th, though. I just went back from Toronto, and I got to see Halloween twice on the big screen while I was there. I've now seen that 6 times on the big screen. I came back, I told my younger brother, I said, I saw it 6 times, 6 times. I saw Annie Hall there at the $5 theater.
Love Andy Hall.
First time I'd seen that in the big screen. And I went into Begonia, which I went to see again today. So hmm. Yeah, I can't think of any other anniversaries off the top of my head. Uh,
So I got a long list of people I want for next year for the milestones and stuff. And you know what's funny? I found one actress who's on social media that was in the 1966 Batman, which I friggin' love. There's two people I know that are left alive, other than Burt Ward, who I had on during the pandemic. But like for the Batman movie, there's a stuntman named Charlie Pixerny. I tried to get him on years ago, and he just kept saying, and let's do this and that, and then he kept ghosting me, so I gave up. And so this actress, there's a scene when Batman calls the admiral at the Pentagon, and he's playing like a board game or something with this cute dark haired girl. That's her. She's like still alive. She was on Facebook. I'm like, yeah, I'm putting her on the first of the year list and stuff. My dad saw the Batman movie in 1966 at the drive-in. My aunt, his older sister, took him and all my uncles to see it.
that movie is so bad.
It is
That
bad, but
movie
it's
is
hilarious. Like, remember, he's trying to dispose the bomb, and like he keeps running into the marching band. Dur, 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 dur. It's so funny and bad.
I thought that movie was such shit. There was a scene in it that I thought was so lazy, lazy, and I never
Which
forgot it.
one? Which one?
Okay, the missile is coming at them in the water, and it's coming
Oh,
up upon them and coming up, and it cuts to black, and it cuts to back to them again, and there's like it's a good thing that whale gave its own light. I'm like, fuck off with that. Who wrote that?
remember he beats the whale? Remember that? Remember he beats the whale?
Like, yeah, a whale gave its light. Like, who fucking wrote that? Fire
Maybe it
that
was a shark.
person.
Maybe it was
Oh
a
my
shark. It
God.
was it was it was a water animal like a shark or a whale. And he's beating
Oh,
it because they're about to get eaten.
yeah, but this is when the missile was being fired at them in the water, and it was like the writer had no good way to end that scene. So it's like then we get this dialogue where we survived. It's a good thing that whale or fish or whatever uh interceded and gave us. Let's fuck off with that. It's like that is so fucking lame. So fucking lame.
I love that bad
Oh
stuff. I love it. You know,
yeah, that movie is so bad. I mean, it's right on par with how bad I thought Batman and Robin was.
I have it on VHS right over here. Shit, look at that.
Yeah. I have the
Classic.
perfect I have the perfect place for VHS of Batman the movie.
Oh no, don't do the 13 fanboy review my movie.
Oh,
Uh,
well, look, I'll say this. The only other movie I can think of I'd do that to back over my car would be Pearl Harbor. I'd do it with that heartbeat. But
that is awful. That's an awful movie.
yeah, I'm not celebrating its fucking anniversary next year. What a shitty piece of garbage that was. But I'll think of some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. So what else you got going on?
Just those great guests that I mentioned earlier, coming on, and looking forward to hopefully a quiet, mellow holiday season, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and hopefully get good news with my doctors and everything. I'm sure you could tell I've lost weight since the last time you saw me on camera. I've been in this diet program and taking Manjaro shots and losing, 20 pounds a month or whatever it is. And I gotta keep doing it until I meet my quota, you know.
I see you got a signed picture of Kelly Maroney behind you.
Kelly Maroney, Catherine Mary Stewart. Oh, I had Kathy's motorcycle stunt woman on recently, Sandra Lee Gimpel. She was at the Hollywood show. My friend got to meet her because he's going through stuntman school. I forgot to go make time to go talk to her, but I had her on this month in October, and she was great. She had Elvis stories because she danced for him for like 15 of his movies, and she's like old Hollywood history, not just in the stunt world, but it I was bringing up all the horror movies she did stunts for because it was Halloween time, and she couldn't even remember a lot of them because she's done over like 100 movies for stunt work, But she remembered a great deal of them, like Evil Dead 2 and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Do you put your autographs in like a photo album or anything like that?
I have a big book of autographs. These ones are very special to me, so that's why I keep them in a frame. And over here by my bed, I have Diane Franklin and Kimmy Robertson in The Last American Virgin, two individual shots of them getting the pink bubblegum ice cream cones and stuff. Those are
I
special
would
to me
like
too.
I want to get Kimmy Robertson on. I can't seem to get her to respond.
Oh, she is a character. I met her at my first Monster Palooza, and my friend was taking forever to take the selfie, and she's like, "Hey, how long does it take you to press that button?" And it was so damn funny with that little voice saying that. And then I had her on the podcast twice, one to talk about her career and another time to talk about a couple other movies. And we had some masturbation talk in there that was pretty damn funny too. She's just no filtered with that little voice. She says exactly what's on her mind. And I love Kimmy Robertson. She's just so damn funny with that voice. One thing I've noticed when you meet those actresses with the little voices, they are so well informed and intelligent and damn naturally funny. You know?
Yeah, I've never had her on. I've tried to get her, had no luck, but I think she's
Yeah,
hilarious, you know, because
she's funny.
she's one of these people, and I see these tropes a lot. They got her done up in the pigtails and the glasses, and they're trying to tell you that she's not attractive. But I guarantee you, she takes those glasses off and lets her hair down, she's going to look better than any of the other female counterparts.
Oh yeah, she's adorable. And she started out as a dancer and like she fell into acting with The Last American Virgin and next thing you know, she's in everything, playing this short girl with a high voice, and we just love her.
I liked her also in what was it, Bad Manners?
Oh yeah. Oh God. I brought that up to her and I brought that up to Ann DeSalvo, and Ann DeSalvo was like, "Oh God, why you gotta bring up that movie?" She said it to me like two or three times. She's like, why you gotta bring up that bad movie?"
Well, what I found funny is in the third act, when the villains are coming into play, or you know, she's telling them to tie her to the table and this and that and all. It's about the same as somebody
Yeah.
breaking into a place and the dog doing nothing but sit back and observing, you know. Eh, these people are breaking it. I've only seen it once. I just remember, she was instructing them on holding her hostage. And I thought that was funny.
Murph is in that. Murphy Dunn.
I
I've tried
know
getting
that
him on. Yeah, I
I
can't get
that
through to him.
he and I talked about that movie. I was lucky to get him when I did as well, so
I was lucky to get the other guys in the band, Willie and Bones and Blue Lou, and I'll accept
haven't
those
had
three,
bones. I haven't
yeah,
had bones. Um,
he's a great guy.
but I've had Blue Lou and I've had Willie and I have Murphy. So
Yeah,
I got Murphy and Willie on through Steve Joyner.
right.
Blue Lou, I forget how I got him, but it wasn't through Steve. Um,
Yeah, I was persistent with him. Like I don't know. I couldn't hear back from him for a while, and then he admired my persistence, and then we talked, and he like looked at the time. He was like, "Man, we've been talking over an hour, man." And he's like, "Are we almost done?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I just want to bring up a couple quick things." He was great. I liked Blue.
yeah, but I haven't had Tom. I haven't had Tom Bones Malone on yet. So yeah, but I
I would
love the
try that
Blues
again
Brothers.
because he's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. I, I know what's her name, the mom in the restaurant. I got connected with her this year, and she told me I might have to wait till next year. She's got some personal stuff going on and everything and
Yeah, I
stuff.
reached out and I
But
didn't hear
yeah,
back from her either. Yeah.
yeah, I'd like to get
Yeah.
Elizabeth Hoy.
I would
I
like to
know that
get her too.
Terry Bolo knows her really well because she was her stand-in on the movie, and she knew her father. And the last time she saw her was at her father's funeral. She wishes she had contact info, but she doesn't.
I liked her. I know she had speaking part in Bloody Birthday, but I liked her best in friggin' Blues Brothers. Those reaction shots of her
Yeah,
looking all
yeah.
amused,
That was for the little girl.
and then she just that look on her face when he says that, like she just goes like this, that was priceless. Her reactions to John Belushi was
Yeah.
priceless. I could just
But
talk to her about that, you know.
did you know? Did you know Tommy Chong was on set of that movie?
That's another
Did you
person
know
I
that?
wanted to get
Yeah,
on is
there's a
Tommy
picture
Ch I wanted to get Tommy
when
Chong
they were
on and
filming
did,
the gas station. Yeah, when they're filming the gas station scene with Twiggy, yeah, he was on set. He took a picture with Belushi and Aykroyd. I've seen it on the internet.
yeah. I would like to get Tommy Chong on, but he's never ever responded to me. So
I know, I know. Everybody wants him on now and stuff. Now that I've had him on so many other people during the pandemic, yeah, I mean, he's great.
you know, but outside
Yeah,
that, I can't think of a lot. You know, I will look next year, and I still got this year to go, and I'll try to get who I
I got some
can.
good ones
And
for you. I got some good ones. Yeah,
yeah, So yeah, I got nothing more. Do you got any other updates? I'm trying to keep this conversation
Nope,
going
that's
because
pretty much
yeah.
that's pretty much it, and
Here's a
so
question
excited.
I'll
Uh,
here's a question I'll ask you. What would you say was this might be tricky, but what would you say was your most exciting interview this year?
Most exciting. I mean, Cynthia Stevenson, who I mentioned before, was exciting. I've always been a big fan of her on sitcoms, and she did this great dirty movie called Live Nude Girls back in 1995 with her, Dana Delaney, and Layla Robbins and Olivia Diabo. And it's just it's like pre-Sex in the City. In fact, Kim Cattrall's in it too. I think she got that show because of this movie, and it's so taboo and stuff. I was just so excited to have her on. That was an exciting interview because she did not disappoint. You know, um, the ones I mentioned before, Stephanie Kramer. Oh, Christine Parnos from Dazed and Confused. I've been a fan of hers forever. She's living a really quiet private life now and forget me or anything, but she was going through some stuff that she had to straighten out, and she was just so friendly and sweet, and she loved that I loved her performance. She did this TV movie. It was incidentally a TV movie. It was supposed to be a theatrical one, and ended up being played a lot on Showtime. It was about sexual assault. It's had like several names, and she really loved that I loved that movie and how it dealt with a serious issue like that and women's trouble and stuff. And she's another one I think would come back on again if I asked her. Those were the most exciting interviews, and there's a slew of more that I'm just blanking on right now, but those are ones in particular. It's been a pretty interesting year, and it's not even done yet.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like I said, we got less than 2 months, and then we're into 2026, and I'm hoping to do a couple cons next year, and yeah, I don't have much more to add.
Well, I was excited about coming on again, and talking about the updates and everything. I do want to say, I was supposed to interview Russ Tamblyn at a certain point this year, and then his health worsened, and I don't know. His wife has been really strange with me. I mean, I sent her the interview I did with Tony Mordente, who was his best friend that he did West Side Story with and everything. And he was doing all these interviews for his book that came out last year. And then suddenly, the enthusiasm stopped. And then she's saying that his health has worsened and everything. And then I touched base with her a couple weeks ago after like, I don't know, 3 months or something. And she didn't even respond. I was like, what the fuck is that? I mean, I get it. He's an icon. He's an Oscar nominee, and he's been in some great movies from old Hollywood of MGM and everything. But it's just like, why can't I get my experience for him, even if it's for 30 minutes? I'd like to, have an experience with him. And that's been a disappointment that I haven't gotten to interview him and probably
Yeah,
won't. But overall, it's been a great year for interviews. Yeah.
yeah. Well, you're number 45 this year for me. Um, I don't know how many you've done this year, but you probably top 100.
Probably 150 or 200 or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing out a number out there.
Yeah. So, and I didn't think I would do this low this year, but I mean, it is what it is. So, but
Not a contest. You're just doing what you can.
yeah, but I definitely have had a number of newbies on. I've had a lot of people that's been on before. I did reach out to Stuart Pankin, and he
Yep,
responded, and he's
yep.
open to coming on, but he lost his home in the
Hmm.
fires. He said he'd
I
come
did
on
not
this.
realize that.
He
Wow.
he said he'd come on this fall, but I'm a little hesitant right now to reach out because it's like,
Yeah.
like, do you really want to come on and talk about Hollywood Nights whenever,
Mm.
you know, because there was a lot of people affected. Like this is the first year I missed on TJ Doyle. He lost his home, and he comes on every year.
If if you want to talk about the Hollywood Nights, you can reach out to his part. You can reach out to Sandy Helberg. He was at the Groundlings with Terry and Pee Wee Herman and Elvira and all of them, and he's a funny guy, and he's got great stories about working with Mel Brooks on a couple of movies and stuff. He's him and Gaylord Sartain are the two cops in the Hollywood Nights.
Oh wow, wow, yes, but yeah, I mean, I could reach out to him again, but I'm kind of like, it sounds to me, it makes me feel invasive when they've got that on their plate. But he sounded polite. He told me to reach out this fall, but it's kind of like, do
He's a very
I?
nice man.
Yeah, yeah. So, outside that, I can't think of anybody else. I can't think of anybody else. I know you sent me a whole list of people. Lee
Mm.
McCloskey was another one that hasn't got back to me. Was that the one from
Take him
Inferno?
a while. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was in Inferno and Fraternity Vacation and Just One of the Guys and Hamburger, the motion picture. Yeah, he's a very deep, insightful guy. He was so great at playing the arrogant jock in those movies and stuff, but he's really a deep and insightful guy, and he's an artist. He paints.
Yeah. Uh, Apocalypse Now, there's another movie I haven't gotten anybody from. I would love to get somebody from.
Yeah.
That was hard. A lot of times, if you've got people who are child actors in movies, it's a little easier.
Yeah. Like I found out this one little girl from the Sand Pebbles was on Facebook, and next year's the 60th. I'm going to reach out to her for that. That's one of my favorite war movies.
Well, I was lucky to get Caroline Grimes on from It's a Wonderful Life. Like, I mean,
Me too.
outside tributes. I mean, that's an actual live actor I've had on from a movie that came out the year my dad was born. That's something, you know. But
Mhm.
there's a lot of those, like a lot of old Hitchcock movies I would like to do something with, and that's even become harder. I was lucky with Psycho
Mhm.
with Marley with the double, and I had
Lee Renfro.
yeah, I've had her, and I've had Hitchcock's granddaughter, but I mean, there's a lot of Hitchcock films I would love to highlight. There's
I
just
know. I want to
nobody.
get. I want to get. I want to get Veronica Cartwright on to talk about the birds and everything, but I don't know. It's hard pinning her down and her sister Angela. I'd like to get both of them on.
And she was firing at all cylinders there at one time because she was in one of the best remakes I could think of, which was Invasion of the Body Snatchers. There's another one. I'd love to get somebody from Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and I love that film. You
The
know,
1978 one.
yeah,
I talked to somebody from it. I'm trying to remember who. I'll look it up and then I'll let you know.
I love the 1978 version of that film. I love that.
I love the 56 version, and I found out it was a McCarthy era,
Mhm.
commentary.
I
Yeah.
like the 56 version, but I like what the 78 version did. Like it took it and it made its own thing. And I thought the paranoia in it was even heightened, even higher. I really like the 78 version. And speaking of Veronica Cartwright, she was an alien. There's another one that, good luck getting anybody,
Inserts where she's naked. Oh, she had a nice body in that movie.
And the movie inserts.
Yeah, her and Richard Dreyfuss.
There you go.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I'm trying to think of some of these movies I haven't had anybody from that left to get people, but and I'm
We'll
blanking,
get
but
somebody. We'll get somebody.
hmm
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm gonna have to go through the list of people that you sent me and try to pick up some of them, get some more, get more of them on the show. But it's been a slow one with work, like I said. But I got two more
Yeah.
booked, so
Uh,
yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Got anything else want to add before we close off?
Nope. I think we've ran the gamut talking about the podcast guests and the cons, but it's always great coming on here, Greg, and talking with you. And, I look forward to our late night conversations of fucking Would You Rather.
Holy cow. She actually thinks you're into her. I tried to tell her, I said, you don't understand when somebody's fucking joking, do you? Like you don't get
Dream
it.
on.
You don't get it,
Yeah, dream
you
on.
know? But she's a great worker, you know. She's like she held down that building while I was in Toronto. I had no doubt she would, but no,
One
she's
that one night. Yeah. Good.
huh?
Remember that one night? I quoted a Sting song. I was like, "I'll be in your nightmares tonight if you need somebody." It was cracking me up.
Oh, gee, I just have to mention your names and she gets like pissy at me. Yeah. Oh well.
It's not she was in the joke. I thought we were all three of us were having fun at first, and the fact that she's genuinely annoyed, I was like, "Oh shit! I hope he doesn't get fired for this."
Oh, you kidding me? Between she and I, we're lucky we're both working, but although we haven't done anything that's disqualified our work there. We always get our work done. We haven't destroyed anything, but we do tend to get on each other's nerves. But in the end of the day, we kind of have each other's back there. I mean, if she happens to be like she had a couple of times where she had dentist appointment, where I knew she was going to be late coming in. She knew I would cover her if she was didn't make it. But yeah, but she doesn't. The only time she ever took a day off was her birthday. Me, I do take off for my vacations. So that, yeah. She said she's not looking forward. If I ever do get to move to Toronto, she's not looking forward to that because there's not too many people she'll work with. But
Give her my love.
you're damn straight I will.
Yeah.
I told her you're going to
All right, Greg.
rang in the giraffe and put her in the giraffe house.
All right, Greg. Thanks so much.
Absolutely, man. I'm sure I'll see you commenting on Giraffe when I'm at work tomorrow night. And then I'll repeat
Absolutely.
it to her and
Always,
she'll
every day, all day.
yeah. She goes, I'm not into your fucking friend Tommy. And
I
I'm
know.
like, I'm
I
glad you know that
know.
he's into fucking. Oh well. Anyway, man, you have yourself a good
Oh, it's
night.
brilliant.
Yeah, I have my
You
moments.
too.
Yeah. You take care, man.
All right. All right,
All
brother.
right.
Talk to you later.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye bye.
Yeah, bye.
Take care.